Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey everybody, it's Jason from Power Rangers Time Force, and you're watching Toku Secrets Podcast.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Boken Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Curie Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
Alright, so today, guys, we've been waiting to do this for a while. So, as pretty much everybody should know, Power Rangers Cosmic Fury has dropped. It dropped on Netflix in late September of 2023. And all of us did our review of Dino Fury Season 1 and Season 2, although Patrick wasn't with us, although he's told us apparently. Did you like Dino Fury like us, Patrick?
If I wanted to separate Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury as like two separate things, I would probably put it in my top 5. I genuinely, the first season was a little bit dull at times, but the second season, man, was just constant, nonstop good writing. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, kind of, I think. I haven't decided where in top 5 or if it's like top 6, but definitely it's up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did our reviews of Dino Fury Seasons 1 and 2, and now we're going to be doing Cosmic Fury because for the first time since the Zordon era, we have one season that ends that transitions right to the next season, in this case Cosmic Fury. So we're gonna talk about it. I'll give a brief recap of all the stuff that happened in season 2. So Tarek, the season began with Tarek reviving his wife, Centura, but she actually turned into a villain called Void Queen, which was adapted from the Tokuger villain Madame Noir. And she was obsessed with destroying humanity for some reason. I mean, Tarek briefly defected, but then he got brainwashed and turned into Void King. The Rangers had a brief encounter with Lord Zed. If you guys remember our review of Season 1, you'll know that Lord Zed revived in Season 1. And they defeated him with the help of the Green Morphin Master, who imprisoned him in a crystal. And there was a huge fight between the Void Queen and her forces, during which Amelia discovered that she is actually a Rafkonian. And she is actually the child of Tarek and Centura, and they were being evacuated from Area 62 and then left her in the care of her Pop. And through that, Amelia was able to get through to Tarek and Centura and, stop them. Zato used the Dino Master Saber to sacrifice himself and the Zords to destroy her nemesis beast. And then 6 months later, everything seemed all happy handy-dandy until Zato arrived and revealed that Lord Zed had escaped imprisonment, and the season ended with the Rangers departing to areas unknown as they prepared to battle against Lord Zed.
Now, one thing I want to add here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cosmic Fury is also the first season it's the first time we get 3 seasons in a row with the exact same team of Rangers with nobody sifting in and out.
Yep.
Because in Mighty Morphin even, we had the Stone Canyon Trio and Cat step in at one point or the other.
Yep.
To replace former Rangers.
And even from like the Zeo, Mighty Morphin to Zeo timeline, you technically had Tanya, who was never a Ranger before, replacing Aisha. And from the Turbo thing, they had to abandon Justin, and then they became Space Rangers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. yeah, the full team is actually going between that, and even to Zio to Turbo, they had to let Rocky go so Justin could join. So
Yeah. So I know we had Patrick kind of said it's in his top 5, but I'd love to hear some more thoughts of his on Dino Fury, because we've given our thoughts, the three of us, on it, but we haven't really had Patrick have a chance to present his likes and dislikes of the Dino Fury stuff.
yeah, of course. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief about it because I know we got a lot to go over. But like I said, I thought the pacing and everything in the first season was a little bit dry at times, but I think that had more so to do with Nickelodeon's overly strict mandates than anything else. Because I know that the second season went to Netflix and they kind of took the restraints off. Void Knight might be one of the most interesting characters they've ever done for Power Rangers in terms of antagonists, because he was never really evil per se. He was just being overly aggressive in how he went about trying to get his goal accomplished.
Yeah.
And he had brought an interesting dynamic in the second season when Void Queen went out of control. The entire cast was good. Like, getting to know each of their families and stuff was a very welcome addition, because you don't get that with Power Ranger teams too often, or even Sentai teams for that matter. So when they had like emotional family payoff moments, they actually hit pretty hard, because you got to know their personal lives and stuff and everything. And the finale was pretty intense. Things I didn't particularly like, I don't know. Probably could have done without Jane and Jayborg. That's probably my biggest.
We literally said that
Thank
exact
you.
thing.
Thank you.
I'm not even joking. When every time when it got to the part that was obviously their segment, I was like, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this.
So, Pat, I have to ask you, because I know this is something that Anthony and Nathan have been strong proponents of throughout season 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
They can't stand Ion, and I'm very indifferent to the guy. What do you think of Ion?
He's definitely one of the weakest Sixth Rangers in Power Rangers, just because he is. Let me put it this way. You know how you see Jan?
Yeah.
Where like everything he does just infuriates you to his core. I'm not going to say Ion is as bad as him, but he kind of invokes that same feeling of frustration.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you just sat down and thought for 2 seconds longer than you did, you'd realize what you did was a stupid idea. Yeah. But he never does. So, but I don't think he's a bad character. His personality's annoying.
Yeah, and that's the difference between him and Zahn. Zahn's honestly a very bad character because he's written badly. Ion is not a bad character. He just has an irritating personality.
Yeah.
And so I make that distinction as well of like, okay, Ion is, he's meant to be annoying, I think.
Yeah, it's when they wrote him centered around the RAFCON or his RAFCON heritage and stuff. I think he's written better.
Yeah, it's like I was actually on board with how he was the one that was against the RAFCONians doing this whole. Yeah, that was actually really good, and I liked his character to that point. But then, as the show continued, he got worse. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I think something that would have helped him out more is if they had drawn out him and Zato's kind of not seeing eye to eye thing instead of leaving it to just one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right after he came back. That should have been stretched out to like 2 or 3 episodes or something, but
exactly.
He's still not Sam, who's probably the worst Sixth Ranger in Power Rangers.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, okay, can we even consider Sam a Sixth Ranger, dude?
He falls under the classification.
Yes, but his character barely existed.
Yeah, that's why he's the worst one. Yeah, that's why he's the worst Sixth Ranger, because he doesn't have a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to jump into Cosmic Fury now?
Yep.
Do it.
All right, cool. So we have our first episode called Lightning Strikes, and we're going to go over this episode by episode and give our thoughts. So the episode actually opens up with probably like one of the most epic shots ever, where we see the Rangers still in their Dino Fury suits. They're fighting against the Morphin Masters are there too, and they're fighting against Zed's forces. They're these on the planet Zordina, and we actually have new foot soldiers here. They're called Sentinels, which these are actually very unique foot soldiers. So a couple of things. They're the first Power Rangers exclusive foot soldiers since the Robo Rangers from the Dimensions in Danger crossover episode. They're the first regular American exclusive foot soldiers since the Tyranno-drones from Dino Thunder, and they're also the first foot soldiers that can speak since the Bluehead Crybots from SPD. So that's pretty cool. Just brief thought. What do you guys think of the Sentinels? I mean,
so I will say I really enjoyed the Sentinel suit for what it was and the circumstances we got him under. I honestly, so we're currently working on the audio drama podcast as well, simultaneous to this, and whenever I started re-listening to the audio drama podcast, the Lord Zed foot soldiers and the audio drama, I can see them being Sentinels now.
Yeah.
Like, they fit that bill really well, and, you know, while there's a couple of cosmetic things about the Sentinels that I think if they had put a little bit extra care on making sure the suits were tight-fitting and they weren't, like, kind of flimsy, because there are a couple of scenes when they're fighting that you can see the costume kind of falling apart here and there. It's not really noticeable, but I've watched Cosmic Fury 2.5 times right now, so I catch some of these smaller details by this point.
Yeah, I think they look. Well, okay. First of all, these are easily a lot better foot soldiers for Lord Zed than in Mighty Morphin the Z putties, because those things could get destroyed so easily.
Wait for the Z.
But
hit the kill me here, hit me here switch. Okay. yeah.
I mean,
the power button.
They look a little too much like they might be based off of the X-Borgs or Gorman from Super Megaforce slash
I was thinking what was the name of the in space?
Oh, Quantrons.
Yeah, that's what
I was thinking.
Quantrons
too.
They look like Quantrons with a little bit of Zed style to them.
And that's where I was going with it as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, they definitely have that feature.
But then again, I mean, they're not. It's still not the worst offense, because the Tyranno-drones from Dino Thunder looked like, rip-offs of the Stingwingers from Lost Galaxies. So they look better. They look better as original foot soldiers than the Tyranno-drones.
Oh yeah.
Honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're not bad foot soldiers. Like, I would probably rank them top 10, top 15 category.
Yeah, I don't know if I put them ahead of Quantrons and Tribots, but still pretty cool.
No, but they're definitely up there in like cool looking foot soldier. Better than a lot of things we've gotten across the years,
Yeah.
I mean, like 5 or 6 years ago, we literally had a group of enemies called the Loogies. Okay.
Oh my god. What was that season? Which one was that?
It was Megaforce.
Oh lord.
Yeah.
Who calls an enemy that?
Something that you hawk and spit out. Yeah, that's very terrifying.
Yeah, no.
Look, it's I'm gonna call them all anything else.
I know, it's the gargling noise.
But I also I know Nathan hasn't gotten to this point in the plot yet, but I also like the very obvious symbology for Basilia Nair on the Sentinel's uniform. to show that they're owned by Bazillionaire.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, no, they have the little belt buckle for it.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, and that lets us transition to like the next thing. So we get introduced to new villains. Riz just said her name, Bajillionaire, and we also meet her daughter, Squilia. I'm pretty sure both of these villains are original. Like they don't come from the Sentai.
I'm actually gonna try to look it up real quick just to be sure.
I know Bajillionaires. It doesn't have a counterpart because I just saw it on Ranger Wiki. So I mean they're like Scrozzle because I know Scrozzle doesn't have a Sentai counterpart.
No.
But so Bajillionaire is the CEO of an evil weapons company called Squid Inc., which that's so Power Rangers, but that's still pretty cool. And they're actually responsible for freeing Zed from his imprisonment. And meanwhile, as the Rangers are fighting, they actually meet some new allies. They encounter Mick, the mentor character from Power Rangers Ninja Steel, who also appeared in the first season of Dino Fury as well.
He was literally the only good thing about Ninja Steel. Like, literally one of the only good things about that show.
Yeah.
There's barely anything else on there.
He was... Yeah, because he tried to be a good mentor, but we're not going to go there, Anthony. We're going to hold on.
Yeah, we'll hold on that.
Because I felt the Rant Master button being needed here.
Yeah.
To steal a phrase from the Power Trip podcast. Yeah. And I don't feel like pressing that. I don't feel like pressing that figurative button right this second.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. That's all I'm saying.
I hope we never get to it.
No, I'm gonna get to it because I'm like I said, I'm going to rant about something, but we'll get to it in a second.
Okay, carry on.
But they also encounter, and to be fair, it was kind of spoiled to us a little bit because they leaked the opening, but I don't care. This is still awesome. They meet the man, the myth, the legend himself, the OG Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston. Now, his entrance isn't as epic as I kind of wish that it would be, but no big deal. But who cares? Billy's here. Let's all rejoice in that. And they were actually on Zordina together on a research trip. It was kind of speculation on what they were doing, but it's actually kind of a not too much of a spoiler for what happened, but this actually kind of canonizes Once and Always. They identified Billy as the CEO of Cranston Technologies, which is what they established he was in Once and Always. And apparently he and Mick were on Zordina as part of Billy's mission to find Zordon, which you'll remember if you've seen Once and Always that was Billy's overarching mission.
So that's not actually accurate there, Nate. I'm sorry.
Okay, go. Sorry about that.
So they're on Zordnia. Mainly because they heard about these mythical powers of the Cosmic Fury Rangers. Right. Or the Cosmic Fury Zord, sorry. So they were looking for the altar of Zordnia, which is where the Cosmic Fury Zords would be kind of foretold to come out of or something.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's their motivation for being there. Because in a later scene, we do see that happen, but let's go chronologically here.
So Zed enters the battle himself. And by the way, in the middle of the battle, the Master Red actually gives Mick his Red Ninja Steel powers, one of his forms. I don't know the details on that because I haven't seen enough of Ninja or Ninja Steel to understand how that works, and I really don't care to explain.
I can explain it real quick because I looked into it before this podcast.
Go ahead.
So during Ninja Steel, Brody, the Red Ninja Steel Ranger, the rest of the 5 Ninja Steel Rangers had been captured, and their power stars had been taken captive, and so Brody didn't want all the Ninja Steel stars to end up in the bad guy's hands. So he tried to destroy his own power star at the end of season 1 to try and prevent that from happening. Well, when he broke it into 3 different components, the Nexus Prism came about, absorbed those 3 parts, and formed 3 red power stars.
Yep.
And those gave way for Brody to resume his powers as Red Ranger. They also gave one to Mick to use only once in that one episode for all of 5 minutes. And then Brody and Levi's dad had the other one. Because why not?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Zed enters the battles himself. He uses a poison on Ollie, which, brainwashes Ollie. Ollie gets turned evil again. And Ollie opens up a portal and sends Zato flying through it. At the same time, Scrozzle arrives with a new cannon weapon, and he uses it to capture the Morphin Masters, although Master Red does give his staff to Hobby. And the Morphin Masters are basically destroyed. Well, okay, not really, but they're pretty much out of commission, and the Rangers are forced to retreat. And the Rangers arrive at the altar of Zordina, which Rizwan just said. And, this is apparently what Billy and Mick were looking for. And he identifies the Cosmic Fury Zords on the altar. They're ancient Zords. Billy actually revealed... so here's the funny thing. I thought that Billy revealing that Zordina is where the Shogun Zords from season... Yeah, Zordnia, sorry. Came from season 3. I thought that was a long answered question, but apparently the planet was named by name in Changing of the Zords Part 1. So, but yeah, it's still a cool, nice continuity nod to have a planet that was only briefly mentioned after we be shown to us.
Yeah.
Man, I had to go digging to figure out what this Zordnia thing was, because so we had gotten a promo clip of the Rangers and the Morphing Masters fighting Zed's forces at the beginning, and they mentioned this is planet Zordnia, and I'm like, why the heck would we name a planet Zordnia? That's kind of a whack name. But then I started looking into it. I was like, oh, this is actually from season 3, and they did an offhand comment reference of, yeah, this is where we get the Shogun Zords from.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely pretty cool.
But do you still think it's a whack name, though, Sil? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Only because...
I mean, it is from my Morphin, so I mean...
Okay, so let me explain why I call this a whack name. To me, the name Zord is something you tie back to Zordon.
Right.
And the Shogun Zords predate Zordon by quite a bit, chronologically. So, you wouldn't call a planet Zordnia as a way to honor Zordon if the planet existed way before Zordon did, right? Like, that's just kind of whack to me.
Yeah. That does make sense.
And the audio drama even mentions, like, the Mighty Morphin team in the audio drama didn't want to call their Zords the Beast Spirits. They wanted to call them Zords. So, it's kind of... That was kind of a nod to say Zords are named after Zordon, not because of this planet Zordnia.
Yeah.
I mean...
But it's still pretty cool. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to complain beyond saying it's a whack name.
I mean,
I understand that.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best name of a planet in a Power Rangers. Although Power Rangers has created some pretty cool planet names, like...
No, they have some fantastic names, like Aquitar, Triforia.
Yeah.
Onyx,
yeah.
I remember one word... Andros and Caron's Homeworld, KO35.
35.
Cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so... Javi is able to use Master Red's staff to activate the altar, although it comes at a cost because it pretty much scorches his arm off, which that's a huge plot point, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But he does unlock the Cosmic Fury Zords. The Cosmic Fury Zords are adapted directly from the Q Rangers Voyager machines, and they combine them together to form the Cosmic Fury Megazord, which in this version, it's like the base Q Reno from Q Ranger. That's what it's called, right, Anthony?
Yes, it's what's called.
Q Reno.
Q Reno.
Okay.
Yes. Remember, Riz and Anthony have seen Q Ranger.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that. And the episode ends with Amelia, Izzy, Ion, and Billy, they all commandeer the Zords, which this is something that Riz pointed out to me in a phone call after we did this. Like, this is the first time we're like assorted Rangers of different suits. Like, we have like 4 Dino Fury Rangers, but then we have the blue Mighty Morphin Ranger all piloting the same fleet of Zords.
Yeah.
I want to consider this the first canon version that this has happened. I know that it happened in a certain team up episode of a certain season that won't be named in this podcast, but it's a 00 season. And
no, we're not going to call it 00 because that's too close to O's.
Okay. But
no, but in once and all, but what is it called? The Operation Over. No,
Once a Ranger.
Once a Ranger. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and once a Ranger, they do have the 5 veteran Rangers commandeer whatever overdrive Zords they had.
Yeah.
To, pilot it, but I don't want to give the respect to Overdrive of having the first.
Yep.
No.
Even though they did.
But yeah, they form the Cosmic Fury Megazord. They fight off one of these machines called Squid Drills, which are like part of the fleet of Squid Inc. Amelia actually boards the drill with Ollie on board, and she knocks him out. And they evacuate just before the Megazord destroys the drill. But then a fleet of Zed ships, they begin closing in on Earth, and the Rangers have to they begin closing in on them on Zordnia, and they have to retreat back to Dino Hinge. And the episode ends with the Rangers regrouping at Dino Hinge with both Ollie and Javi in critical condition, and the Rangers are in a very desperate situation.
Yeah.
So, what do we think of this beginning episode, guys?
Dude, this is really setting the stakes really high. So, this is the first time we get a Ranger get amputated in battle.
Yep.
Ollie has turned evil for the second time in his career as a Ranger, but this time his impact is a lot more devastating than the first time.
Yeah.
Zeto's missing, and Zeto, as far as I'm concerned, has the most idea about the Morphing Masters and their powers and really anything. He's also their leader, so not having their leader, not having Ollie, who's like technically he was second in command. I kind of want to argue. So having the rest of the team without their prime leadership, that's a big deal, man. Like that's huge.
This would be equivalent to like freaking losing both Andros and TJ in the exact same time. In a way.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you lose Carlos for a little bit on top of all that.
Yeah.
So you're literally just, these guys took a huge L here, and that sets the stakes extremely high in my opinion.
I mean, the only thing I would say is that
the opening segment where they were fighting Zed's army with the Morphin Masters was pretty, like, it kind of established like this was going to be something different, because that was pretty high end right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did a really good job of establishing that this was going to be a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more story driven and violent compared to what we're usually used to with Power Rangers. So
yeah, I think this is kind of a backdoor pilot into what we're going to get this upcoming supposed reboot.
Maybe.
I think it could be like just setting the tone for what we can kind of expect.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that is a huge hit for these guys, the Morphing Masters are also captured.
Yep.
So they're literally without half their team. They don't have the Morphing Masters as a crutch like they did last time to help stop Zed. And the only saving grace is that they have Mick and Billy.
I mean, honestly, this situation is like pretty much as dire as. Honestly, you could say that it's even more dire than what happened at the end of Turbo, because at least with Turbo, they've lost the power chamber and they've lost Demetria. But I mean, this is like in Turbo they lose everything. Also, TJ and Carlos have disappeared because you don't have Zordon because he's been captured.
Yeah.
And the two leaders are gone. So all it is just Justin and the women. Like that's how bad. And their only saving grace is that maybe the Blue Centurion is still there to occasionally help them out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I do like the early lead that Emilia starts to take here that she's going to develop throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think she stepped up really nicely here.
And again, like I even from the context of like what I thought, I mean, Riz corrected me that Zordnia was already established as a planet. But even if it was my original thought that like this is the first time that we established that Zordnia is where the Shogun Zords came from, even if that was the case, I still love that subtle writing. Like this is where the Shogun Zords came from, and now they're also having to be where the Cosmic Fury Zords come from. Like I know, like just those minor continuity like nods, like that's probably the biggest thing I love about the Hasbro era, that you're not afraid to acknowledge continuity from other seasons.
Well, and that's the biggest strength we have, because Once and Always did it, Beast Morphers did it, Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury did it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that while people are not very happy with Hasbro, I think they have to look at the bigger picture here of what Hasbro's done for us.
Yep. What do we want to give the first episode out of 10, guys?
You give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm going with a 9 because there's stuff later that'll be a 10.
I'm gonna give it 8.5.
I'll stick with 9 as well.
Okay.
You guys want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, so now we have episode 2. Now, there's a lot of subplots with these next couple of episodes, all revolving around different characters. But so I'm going to try to sum them up as best I can. But I mean, it's still great because like most of the characters all have something to do. So while Mick is out, this episode is called Beyond Repair, by the way. Mick is out trying to find Zato, and the Rangers are kind of aware that are on high alert because Lord Zed's forces might be invading. Izzy actually tells her father, Jane and Jayborg, about the pending invasion, although she conceals her identity in her Ranger form. Unfortunately, Ollie is still under the influence of Zed's toxin, even when he gets out of his coma, and his mom and Emilia try to find a way to cure him, with their plan being to zap him with morphin energy from the Tricera statue, because that might corrupt the morphin energy within him. Izzy meets Fern. She wants to keep the invasion a secret from her. Fern is her girlfriend, by the way, in case nobody remembered that.
How do you not remember that, though? That's a huge...
Yeah, I know. But there might be that one person who doesn't remember it.
Yeah.
And Fern actually gets really worried about Izzy, and she follows her to Dino Hinge, where she ends up in the middle of a battle. Now, here's a little bit of a fun fact, and I kind of a continuity nod, and I don't know if this is turning into me making all these connection references like I do with Riz and I in our Ahsoka reviews on the Star Wars podcast, but I really don't care because I'm still going to do this. Fern actually at one point mentions Nasada, which is the Power Rangers equivalent of NASA. And Nasada's big. It provided the space shuttle to the Turbo Rangers, and that space shuttle was part of the Astro Megazord. Nasada appeared a few more times in Power Rangers in Space, including the Dark Spectre's Revenge two-parter. And the Nasada spaceport is where all the Red Rangers met up in Forever Red. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the last time that Nasada was
No, it was briefly mentioned offhand one time in Beast Morphers.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I'm surprised you remember that. I did not remember them saying anything about that.
Yeah, it was a random throwaway line. Yeah, but
so the Rangers are battling the monster responsible for poisoning Ollie. His name is Dewdrip. When he attacks Earth. At the same time, Hobby is given a new cybernetic arm, but he's having trouble controlling it. But he does manage to gain some. This is just kind of briefly glanced upon in this episode, but it'll become bigger in the later episodes. But he's able to control it somewhat when he's trying to save Fern from the Sentinels, because she gets involved literally at that point. Unfortunately, though, Lord Zed, after Dino Hinge's location is revealed, he arrives and he destroys the Dino Hinge statues, and which strips the Dino Fury Rangers of their powers. And unfortunately, Ollie is unchanged from Zed's new toxin, despite the source of his morphin energy being destroyed, and he attacks Amelia. And with Dino Hinge pretty much destroyed, well, they're based under attack. They evacuate. They evacuate their base, Zed's, with leaving the Earth pretty much completely vulnerable for Zed to attack. But thankfully, the Rangers are able to teleport their base to a planet called Iridus, which is 30 million light years away from Earth. And here is a huge problem with this situation, which is already pretty bad. Fern was on board Dino Hinge.
Oh no!
Dum dum dum.
And that's how the episode ends.
Oh wait, I got something I gotta say.
Go ahead.
We need to make sure Rocket Raccoon does not find out about Hobby's arm, because he wants to get that arm.
Bro. You know what? It's funny you say that. I saw a meme with them doing that exact thing. Like, it's Javi with his arm.
I think I saw it
Rocket
too.
Raccoon. Yeah. That's pretty great.
How much you want for that arm? I just got it. So how much you want for the arm?
Yeah, so this is another really great episode. I mean, I love how they took their time. Like, obviously, I don't know how I imagine we could have had them getting new powers, except with them losing their powers here. But I love how they, took their time with them losing their powers. And, I don't know. I like that. I like the drama with, Ollie and Amelia, as well as, bringing his mom in. Because have I ever mentioned that I really like Ollie's mom?
You, me, and almost everybody who in the community that just love that woman. Like,
yeah, you can't hate her.
She's best mom in Power Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much. Like, I still need to see season 2 of Beast Morphers, but I've seen some of it, but I'd probably say that she's better than Captain Shaw, Robbie's mom.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No disrespect to the lady who plays her, by the way. It's just
Yeah.
No.
And I would but yeah, I mean, I like that. They set up all these smaller plot points. And what I really love about this, one of my biggest complaints with Dino Fury was that they would sometimes have and this is a complaint that I've had for a lot of Hasbro seasons, is that there's a lot of epic episodes with epic implications, but they sometimes have these subplots that feel like they belong more in filler episodes. An episode where Zato is trying to learn how to control his battleizer. The main plot of that episode is Javi competing in a music contest. And I love how Cosmic Fury doesn't have that problem.
Right.
These subplots are directly connected to a bigger picture.
Well, they only have 10 episodes to work with, so I guess that, does help in their favor.
I mean,
I also think it's because Nickelodeon isn't hovering over their shoulders saying that you got to do this.
Yeah, true.
You gotta have fart jokes. You gotta have this.
You gotta have moral of the day and all that.
Yeah,
yes.
I am so happy that it turned. I am so happy that it turned out that was just Nickelodeon breathing down their neck.
Yeah.
I knew it had to have been.
Yeah, I do.
Because Nickelodeon is. Because everything I've heard about how Nickelodeon is run behind the scenes, they are obscenely hands-on with everything that they have on their channel.
It's like Power Rangers because they don't care. Like I can remember, like they'll show like little small freaking promotional stuff for Power Rangers, but then other than that, you won't get anything else from them because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the worst offender is like the first episode of the Beast Morphers in-game arc, where pretty big episode. They wipe everybody's memory to think that Blaze and Roxy are still good, so that Blaze and Roxy can like break in and steal these like teleporting equipment. But the main plot of the episode is that Steel is all like, man, I want a pet, and I want to prove to Nate that I'm good enough to have a pet. And then at the end of the episode, he gets a dog, and it's like, oh yeah, cool, Steel. Yeah, sure, they just stole this valuable equipment, and we might be screwed, but you get a dog now. So
I still like Steel. That's best boy before he becomes a human. So FYI.
Yeah.
I still won't forgive them for that. That's the only thing, only gripe with Beast Morphers for me is that they turn that perfect machine into a human. I know what people are gonna say. Yes, he wanted to be human. Yes, and nobody needs to explain to me what I've already said. I've heard this on time before. Just let me have my rant without any type of interruption, any explanations or anything. How you feel, whatever. This is just how I feel. I gotta say that because otherwise I'm gonna be here. Somebody, no, I don't want to hear that. I just want to have my rant. Let me be.
No, I mean I get where you're coming from on that, Anthony. Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's like I get it. It's like I get people may not agree with what I have to say, but just let me have my opinion about it.
Yeah.
But I love how all these episodes are ending on cliffhangers too. Like when I was watching this, I thought, okay, I'll just watch maybe the first 5 episodes and then maybe watch the next 5 later. But like each episode is like ending on a cliffhanger. Like I'm like, oh no, I have to watch all 10 of these like at once. Like I need to know what's going to go on happen next.
Imagine Rizwan at 2:00 in the morning binge watching all 10 episodes as it dropped on Netflix. Because I did that. Because you know what? Our fandom sucks on Twitter and on Instagram. If I had waited, I would have been spoiled.
Yeah, because they don't wait. They'll spoil the crap out of everything.
Like, there's something we'll talk about in the next episode, or I think it's episode 4, that was spoiled for me before I even got to watch the first episode. Because somebody who had an advanced copy to do a review, they posted photos even though they're not supposed to. Well, I mean, the embargo ended on it at like before Cosmic Fury dropped, but still, that's pretty crappy of them.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of this episode, though?
I liked it. It's more of a setup episode for the bigger plot that's coming, but it's still pretty solid. And I do want to highlight one conversation that I have in my notes here for episode 2, and that is Amelia and Ollie's mom have a talk about how can Miss Arcana be so calm even though Ollie is, under the spell of Zed and turning evil and all this stuff. And she teaches Amelia to face the facts, think about what's going on, analyze everything, make a game plan, do what you can, but don't worry about the things you can't do. Like, these are really big lessons that will play a huge role going forward. And I just love the subtlety of this because we'll get there when we get there, but I just want to say that I love this little conversation for what it sets up later on.
Yeah. What about
and then
I'll go. Sorry, Riz, I didn't realize you weren't finished.
Oh no, and then my other big comment is, again, the stakes are getting even higher now. Because now the entire Dino Fury power set minus Ollie is gone. And they're on a distant planet at the farthest end of the galaxy from Earth, and they have no way home. In before Spider-Man reference. But
what about
Anthony,
the other
Patrick?
guys?
I'll probably give it an 8. Honestly,
yeah. I'm gonna give this an 8 as well.
Yeah, that's where I'm landing on this as well for it being a setup, but 8 isn't bad here. It's still pretty dang good.
Yeah, I'll make it unanimous with an 8.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to episode 3, Off Grid. So a lot of things happen here. So the Rangers, so pretty much everybody except Zato and Ollie, they venture into Eridus to try and contact Earth. And while they're out, going through some shenanigans, Billy actually studies Master Red's staff, which they still had on board, and he successfully comes up with a way to not restore the Rangers' powers, but instead give them new powers. So he creates new morphers for the Rangers. So there's 6 of them, and there's 2 for Ollie and Zeta when they return, supposedly, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Where these new morphers use cosmic orbs and transform the Rangers into Cosmic Fury Rangers. There's the name. Now, Javi, Izzy, and Ion retain their original colors, black, green, and gold. But Amelia, and to be fair, this was spoiled to us, but it's still really cool, she becomes the new Red Ranger. Now, is there an explanation, or is this just going to be her changing color for no reason, like how Jake changed colors in Super Megaforce? Well, no, there is an explanation, and no, it's not just saying there's a simple explanation for that. There is actually an actual explanation. Billy reveals that the morphing grid shows her to be the Red Ranger, like identifying her leadership and all that. So, I mean, simple line, just, explaining that. Don't know why they couldn't have done that in Super Megaforce, but who cares?
Because Saban didn't care about the continuity.
No, he didn't.
Right.
And honestly, I kind of wish that Saban would have had actually the balls to really just destroy the Megaforce powers and just give them the new powers in the season 2 arc. But they decided not to. They're going to keep the old ones and the new ones, and it's like, why do that? You could just,
I mean, I like my idea better still.
Oh, well, don't worry, Anthony. That's how I handle them getting new powers in my version.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. Thank you.
Well, my version of Super Megaforce will have them get it differently than you, Nate.
Okay, cool.
So, just a quick thing, because I do think that's a pretty cool idea. I vote that the Megaforce Rangers stay Megaforce, and a second team of Rangers inherits the powers of the Pirate Rangers or whatever.
Oh.
And they compete against each other to find the legendary power, like in Gokai.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's fine enough. But when I'm writing my thing, I'm kind of trying to work as if I'm working within the confines of what.
Nope, I refuse.
Okay, cool.
Screw Nickelodeon, screw Saban.
And by the way, what do we think of the? Okay, let's get. I don't know if we mentioned this in our podcast when we reacted to them, but. Let's just do it now that we can actually see them in real action. What do we think of these new Cosmic Fury suits?
I don't like them. I'm sorry. I don't like the suits. Sorry.
I like parts of them.
I like parts of them too, but not everything. No.
So my only complaint. Well, okay, I got 2 complaints, but one is not really a complaint; it's more of a nitpick. My big complaint is I don't like the abs.
Me neither. That was my biggest gripe. Was why you had to give them the abs.
If they didn't have the abs, they've been fine suits. I would not have complained.
It reminds me of Power Ranger toys that came out when I was
they'll have the muscles and everything.
Give them
And do you know what the reason is for that? I found it on Simon Bennett's Twitter or something a while back.
Yeah.
The reason for why the suits even have the abs is because Hasbro wanted a 1-to-1 conversion for when they're making the toys.
Oh man, that's so bad.
So literally, we lost the Nickelodeon mandates and we got the Hasbro mandates.
Did they even confirm that we were going to get toys of these or no?
We are.
Are we gonna get like Lightning Collection figures, or we're just getting like just I guess the basic 6-inch back figures like they've been doing for
I think they're focusing on a kids line right now more than the Lightning Collection.
Oh, okay.
So I think the next time we have a Hasbro Pulse event, they're gonna announce bigger things or whatever.
Yeah, whenever that happens, because we don't even know when it's gonna happen. It could be like a year before we hear anything about it.
I don't think it'll be that long.
Who knows? We'll see.
I'm probably gonna be the odd guy out, and I didn't really I know that the built-in abs were kind of noticeable, but I didn't find them distracting at all.
No, they're not distracting at all.
It didn't bother me, and it's probably because I'm always been a fan of things that are more simplistic. But I dig the costumes.
Wow,
yeah,
really?
Exactly.
I thought you would hate them.
Yeah.
No,
I'm a fan of simplicity.
Oh.
Yeah, me too. And that's what I was saying is I like the simplicity.
Yeah.
I just think that the abs being removed would have enhanced the simplicity to make the suits more.
It would have, but at the same time, I didn't even notice it half the time. So it was never a thought in my mind that, oh man, those things look kind of fake. They just
it's only fleeting moments I'll see that,
honestly, they looked worse in the production photos, but then when you actually see them in motion, it was never really an issue.
No, not really. But
my complaint with that kind of just disappeared.
Yeah.
So
I honestly don't mind the suit part. I mean, like I said, I'm cool with the simplicity. And maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of the Ryu Soldier / Dino Fury suits. I just wish that they used different helmets because I'm not a huge fan of those helmets. I don't know if you could either create your own original helmets to represent the Cosmic Fury Zords, or if you can't design an original helmet, just take, I don't know, maybe the Q Ranger.
I kind of wish they would have just took the Q Ranger.
No, actually, they talked about that, and the reason why they didn't do it is because they said the helmet designs were probably a little bit too complex for making toys.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, so literally Hasbro stopped a lot of suits because Simon Bennett even said
he wanted to do the Q Ranger. Yeah.
No, he had another suit design that they had made first.
Oh.
And it was a lot more epic than this, but Hasbro nerfed it.
Yeah.
I do think the Q Ranger helmets would have fit in though, because their outfits looks like, I mean, maybe not perfectly, but they kind of look a little bit like a simplified version of the slightly more simplified of the Q Ranger suits.
Am I the only one that liked the helmets on Cosmic Fury?
Yeah,
I like them too, because I like the Ryu Soldier helmets. I like how they customized them to they look like upgraded versions of those.
I like
helmets.
the original helmets.
That was my favorite part
of the newer, how they design them here.
No, I thought they were fine. I didn't have any
complaints so about did I.
Well,
but I do want to say before we move on to the next episode, Nate, that
yeah, go ahead.
Something that we really glossed over, and I know why you glossed over it, but I do think this feeds into Amelia's story arc in a way that we may not be thinking about right now. So when Billy reveals that the Morphin Grid saw something in her to give her the powers of Red, the Morphin Grid saw how she kept the team together and focused. She was supporting she was supporting Javi with his loss of the arm. She was supporting Ion and getting him to redirect his energies towards cooking, and she had that nice talk with him saying, look, I know what you're going through, I understand, but remember I'm your friend as well. She at this point had taken over leadership of the team in Zeto's absence. And part of that comes from that conversation in the last episode that I said is a big deal. Because when she and Dr. Arcana are talking, and Dr. Arcana tells her how to reframe the problem, what does Amelia do next time? She doesn't mope about losing Ollie. She says, let's face the facts. Ollie's gone to the dark side. We can't do anything about that. We're on a new planet. Let's work with what we have and find a way out of here because I know we can do it. So, while it's super subtle, and you wouldn't notice it if you weren't looking for it, Amelia's transition from being a ranger to being a leader happened, and it's very subtle. It's not something that was kind of forced, which is what a lot of fandom think.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly applaud them for doing this kind of groundwork to set everything up properly.
I mean, it honestly feels natural to me. Like, I was going to say this earlier, like, you always looked at Ollie as second in command. Honestly, Amelia gave me more vibes as second in command, too.
Well,
so with Zato being out of the picture, it makes a lot of sense for her to be
if not second in command, Amelia was the second main character of Dino Fury.
Oh, 100%. She is the main character of Dino Fury after Zato and Ion. Yeah. But the reason I said Ollie was the second in command is it kind of felt like he was leading the group at the end of season 2 in the epilogue. Like, he was the one in the center. He was the one that was kind of subtly calling the thoughts of what to do with the team. So that was kind of why I thought it worked for Ollie to be that, because he was kind of. I imagine Ollie had taken over that role more in the 6-month period that Zato was gone.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, again, just looking at the timeline, we had 6 months in the middle where we don't know really what happened, but the indication is that Ollie was acting leader while Zato was out.
Yeah, but then with him out of the picture, Ben, I like Amelia does feel like
Amelia has to be
leader.
Because I wanted Amelia to be the second in command. I wished Amelia had been the one to kind of lead the team as a
and I also
like another.
And I also want to add on to that. I don't, and like I said, this is not me saying that I'm not fine with Amelia being red. Amelia being red is just perfectly fine with me, but I also kind of feel like that's that trope again where like we have to always think that the Red Ranger is always going to be leader, and that's not always the case. You don't have to necessarily be red to be the leader. It's cool that she's red. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we've had leaders who weren't necessarily the Red Ranger in other series, and I don't want people to think that oh well, since she's like she's red, she has to be leader. It's like you don't have to be leader to be red, whether it's a guy or a girl. But that's just me.
And that's an issue I have as well, Anthony. Is our canon is at odds ends on this point. Because on one side, you have people like Tommy the White Ranger, Delphine, and Zen. All leaders of their own teams, right? And I guess Taylor for Wild Horse, if you want to include her there. Because she was definitely more a leader than Cole could ever have been.
She was up until freaking Shayla had told her, like, oh, you had to be leader because you're lying. Like, she's been leader for a whole year. What you mean?
That you mentioned? Who were the other people you mentioned, Riz, besides Jen?
Tommy the White Ranger and Delphine. Yeah. So
I would honestly say that Xander was a better leader than Nick for Mystic Force, but whatever.
But he wasn't actually a leader.
Unfortunately, I would have preferred him to be leader, but that's just
me. Yeah. But in the cases that I mentioned, they're all white or pink or something, right? But they acted as a leader without having the color red. But when Billy made that comment saying that the Morphin Grid saw her leadership qualities and chose her for red, and the way that Izzy and Ion and Javi reacted and said, dude, this makes sense. You are the leader of the team right now. We support this change. That canonized that red is the leader no matter what we as the fans
exactly.
But it's at odds ends because Tommy and Delphine were not white. I mean,
it's like red. We like it, but at the same time, it's like it's literally that. But the series, the series of Power Rangers as a whole is telling us that red's leader. So shut up, and you have no argument. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like they're telling us.
Even if you look back at like Sentai has the same kind of implication more often than not.
Yeah, the only 3 Sentais I know where red is specifically stated to not be the leader is Jaka, which even then, I mean, I've seen Jaka, and it's kind of weird with Big One being their leader. I'm not going to talk about that. In Mega Ranger, they they identify Mega Black
he was
as the
definitely
leader.
I've seen Mega Ranger all the way through.
Yeah.
He's definitely their leader.
And then Kaku Ranger. And
I'll even go a step further.
Right.
You know how in space where they were fighting against the Psycho Rangers, right? You remember Black, like Psycho Black, aka Neji Black, was the only one who had like the gold collar around his neck. His wasn't white.
Yeah.
The reason for that was because Mega Black was leader of Mega Ranger. So they in turn, even though Red was always like in the center, they still kind of like wanted like to do a reverse of what Mega Ranger did as far as like having him be leader, even though he's not technically leader.
Yeah. And then the other one that Nathan's probably going to mention is Zen Kaiser.
Yeah, well, and then also, I mean, I know we have issues with how they like line everything up, but like according to like how the lineup is, like they identify Yuri as the leader of the Time Rangers, and she is the leader. Let's be honest there. So
like, I mean, Tsuruhime and Kaku Ranger too.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot more than just 3.
Yeah, but I mean, we have more seasons to work with in Sentai. We have 50 versus the 30.
Honestly, though, I kind of look at it as a little bit differently. That maybe in the eyes of the Morphin Grid, Red is meant to be the leader, but the team can still choose who the actual leader of the team is. But maybe Red is seen as like the head of the team. And seeing how their Red Ranger was gone, they needed a new Red to kind of be the helm of the team, and they chose her as the best available candidate.
Yeah.
Because you can say that Red doesn't need to be leader, sure, but there needs to be a Red.
We've never not had a Red.
Exactly. So we need to have a Red, so give it to the one who's the most qualified to be the leader.
Yeah.
And that would be Amelia. So that's how I looked at it.
And that's a good way to look at it as well, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say here is...
Well, there's still a couple of plot details I have to go over.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, hit those.
So, other big things. So, there's a bit of a subplot going on with like Izzy being protective of Fern, which we'll go into more details in the later episodes. Now it's revealed on Earth. They hear this from Commander Shaw from Grid Battle Force, the mentor character from Beast Morphers, that there is a force field that Lord Zed has projected over Earth. It's blocking the Ranger Zords, and with Earth completely defenseless, Zed's forces are engaging in an all-out attack, and unfortunately, the Cosmic Fury Rangers can't contact Earth out of fear that Lord Zed will discover where they are. And things are made worse on Earth. Ollie approaches his mom, manipulating her into revealing. So Mick reveals that he found Zeta on the planet Levina, and Ollie, pretending to be good, manipulates his mom into revealing where Zeta is. And there's a bit of frustration. Like Riz kind of mentioned this, that Amelia talks with Ion briefly because he's frustrated over losing Zato. And the episode ends with the Rangers. They have their new powers. They get the message that Lord Zed's forces are going to Levina to find Zato, and they prepare to head to Levina by themselves while Billy, Solon, and Fern are working on a thing for their base. And that's how the episode ends. One thing I want to say is that the whole thing with to kind of transition to a new topic, like Ion. This is the episode where I really started to like Ion more as a main character, because like he's not annoying, and his issue with missing Zeta was honestly legit and feels like a natural thing he would go through, because like you and Zeta have been friends for so many years and you just lost him. Like, this is where I'm starting to realize, okay, I'm starting to actually really relate to this guy. And I was already warming up to him because Jordan Fight was nice to me when I ran into him at that, not the Ranger Stop and Pop that, not that Ranger Stop and Pop that Riz and I went to last year.
Don't trust me. Trust me. I feel the exact same way because I had met Dwayne Cameron, who played Tyzon from Operation Overdrive. I think.
So did Rich and me this year.
Wait, where do you meet Tyzon?
So he was actually at a convention that I went to I think roughly a month or two ago with my sister. It was like a small one that we went to.
Okay.
He happened to be there, and he was just really nice. Like y'all said, he is just a cool dude. And I was like, cool. Like I took a picture of him and everything.
I'm gonna steal Nathan's words out of his mouth here. Overdrive didn't.
It really did. It really did. It really did.
No.
I was like, what is this?
Now, every bad Power Ranger season has at least one actor that it doesn't deserve, and Dwayne Cameron is that guy. Because he was good in other seasons.
Yeah.
Like he was good as the monster of the day in that one SPD episode, and as Ethan's bully and that Dino Thunder episode. So he's been good in stuff. Like he didn't deserve to be in that show. Like, but to kind of go back to what I was saying, like. And there's another thing that I really like about Ion, which I'll talk about in a later episode. But like, this was the episode where I'm, really starting to think, Ion is becoming a much better character now. To be honest,
I like how we just didn't be. I just like how we didn't. We just kind of ran around the whole thing of Ion's character starting to grow on me because his actor was nice to me one time.
I haven't met Ion's actor yet, so I can't say that.
I know, but I just found it funny. That was one of his reasons. But yeah, I kind of agree with you because this goes back to the point I brought up about Ion when I was talking about him in Dino Fury, is that when they kind of write his character based around his heritage, he's actually written really well, and he's kind of written like that throughout Cosmic Fury because he sees Zaito as like his last remaining brother, and he wants to save him because that's the last bit of his life from his
because you have to
from his childhood almost.
They are like the longest living. Well, I'm not because I know that there are other Rafconians out there.
Yeah, but I mean, they're the last two living ones from that era where they grew up on, and he sees Zaito as more than like a brother, but like the last remnants of his era of Rafcon.
Yeah, his home is basically gone,
Yeah, with Zaito not being there, so it's pretty heavy stuff for him that he's like lost without anything resembling his world around him.
No, and that's really.
And at this point, he kind of reminds me of Andros' situation.
But in reverse, because the Sixth Ranger is now the one that
in reverse,
lost the former Red.
Like if Zane was in Andros' position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I think Ion's capabilities here as an actor have really shining through because he sold it so well that, he's hurting and we know why he's hurting and we can feel for him. And, Amelia does a great job trying to console him and make him, redirect that energy into something while comedic, like.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. We didn't need 10 minutes of plot about Ion cooking and then the entire little monster outside that they had to go feed with the pot of soup that he made.
We didn't need it.
Like we didn't need that, but
we didn't need the Dune spinoff.
But it still helped his character in ways that if we didn't have it, I don't think we would have gotten that same impact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while I don't particularly care for that part of the story, I do respect what Simon.
And at least they're giving him something, because I mean, before he even even during the first season he was in, he didn't have anything. I mean, what was his best? What was his most notable trait in the past 2 seasons besides him cooking that that's it. But now that he has his cooking thing, at least give him something to do.
Now,
because what did he do in Dino Fury? Charged blindly at Zed and had a donut stuck in his mouth the whole time,
and several other foods in his mouth too.
Pretty much his character in Dino.
Now, I do want to transition topics a little bit again, because there's another Ranger in this team who I didn't have the highest opinion of prior to this season of Cosmic Fury, and that would be Javi. So Javi was a fine character. He's not anything spectacular. He wasn't really somebody I really cared about, though. He was kind of there in the background doing his own thing. But him losing his arm and having to deal with it and the prosthetic and his initiative to even go and grab the Morphing Master staff and do that self-sacrifice, that upped his character quite a bit.
I was always a fan of Javi because he's a relatable character with the whole, trying to find your place in the world story that he had going on.
And I just never felt like they did enough with him, though, in those first few seasons.
He warmed to me a little bit in season 2, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
But he warmed up, but he wasn't a heavy-hitting character with a lot of stuff going on for him, even with all the parental back and forth with him and his dad.
That's honestly what actually made me like the character even more, because
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I just wish they did more of that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they added this element of now he has something odd to overcome,
which is all we were asking for.
And honestly, if you really think about it, everyone in the fandom, they're losing their minds about Zato being downgraded from Red to Zenith, and Amelia getting upgraded to Red, and first female Red, and all this stuff. But I'm looking at Javi here in a different way than most people, because the way I see him now is he's the first Ranger with a physical disability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge, because that's representation that many disabled people never get representation in superhero content very often. I mean, outside of like Daredevil, there's not much else out there for them.
Yeah.
So seeing a guy with an amputated arm and having to deal with the prosthetic, I greatly appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, like I would probably say, like I probably was liking Javi a little bit more than you were before this point, but the arc that he goes through at this point, like honestly, like that has me put him like I was just recently making like some top 5 like Rangers of each color for my blog, and I've put Javi as like I can't remember which number, but he is in my top 5 Black Rangers. Now, to be fair, there's not much competition because like.
But even if there was competition, I think Javi fits really well there.
Yeah, like he deserves to be among the company of like Dylan from RPM and Tommy from from if we're talking about Tommy strictly from Dino Thunder, then like
I mean, I think
not saying that he's better than Tommy, but
no, unpopular opinion time. I wouldn't rank Tommy that high on best Black Rangers. I would say he's really competitive with Tommy, and now is he competitive with Dylan?
That's debatable. Yeah.
But with Tommy, there's not really anything of like, no, you can't debate that. You can definitely most certainly debate Tommy versus Javi and come out with different answers.
Would you say he's able to compete with Carlos?
Because yes, they would go head to head because Carlos had that mental block in the mid there.
Yeah. Well,
and I like when the Ranger has to overcome that type of adversity of something. Carlos had to go through that imposter syndrome phase. Javi had to go through that, oh God, I lost my arm. What the hell do I do now? Kind of phase. Because they really sold it. Because everyone is saying Javi's music career. Javi is saying I can't string a guitar. Yeah. And there's this really nice moment that actually, I'll be honest with y'all, moving to tears when Billy said, I don't know how to tune a guitar, but I will tune it if you tell me when it's in tune.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like that to me was just really well written stuff.
Yeah. I haven't mentioned this yet, but man, I'm so glad.
Same here, man. Oh my God,
everybody is.
Dude, he is so great, man. Like I know people are saying Billy needs some work into writing, but I'm like, what more do you want from him?
He had a whole special with the other cast, like it's like.
Yeah.
Dude's already dealing with enough as it is, man. He's dealing with the fact that he's lost traits to Robo Rita and all that. So give him a break.
Yeah. Like his veteran calmness is something that the Cosmic Fury Rangers needed during the situation.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, Mick was helpful as like a comic relief type guy.
Yeah, but they
Billy's
needed like
the one that was like holding
Mhm.
them together until Amelia could get a handle.
What do we want to give episode 3 out of 10, guys?
I want to give this a 9.5.
I'll give it a 9.
I'll give it a 9.
I'll give it a 9 too. Yeah.
All right, cool. So you guys want to move on to episode 4?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have episode 4 called Teamwork. This episode is kind of I can glance over the plot real quick. So the Rangers arrive at Levina to help find Zato. They briefly encounter Ollie while he's there, and it's actually revealed that he has his own evil Blue Ranger form that Scrazzo created for him. Now, they also encounter Mick, and Amelia and Ion, they're able to help find Zato because they're able to use their Ravkonian powers to communicate with the forest of Levina. And Ion successfully finds Zato, but he can't connect with Zato's mind, strangely, which, despite his Ravkonian powers. And funnily enough, he actually hears this when Zato returns, the forest that's talking with him, it urges Zato to, quote, enjoy the time you, or in this case, Zato, has left, unquote. Very ominous quote, and we'll find out what that means later. Zato returns to the base. He gets, his cosmic morpher, and he becomes the Zenith Ranger. He gets the name Zenith is what the Morphin Masters called him when they brought him back. And Fern and Billy, they revealed that they're working to transform the base into a spaceship so that they can return to Earth. But Ion is very suspicious of what the forest told Zato and thinks that there's more to what Zato is doing than he's telling them. And we get a part between Ollie and Zed on the planet Eltar, which, if you guys will remember, is Zordon's homeworld. I think this is the first time that we've seen Okay, I don't know what. Yeah, because I've always been confused because, like, in Countdown to Destruction,
we see the planet. We see the planet, but we don't see like what's actually happening on said planet.
Yeah,
because I think they were trying to imply, like, because if you remember in Countdown to Destruction, we see the Blue Centurion and the Phantom Ranger.
If they were, please let us know.
Was that meant to be Altar?
Yes, because I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Because Astronema at the beginning of the episode identifies as at the home of the Phantom Ranger. The Phantom Ranger, I think, was from Eltar. So wouldn't that be Eltar?
Yes, I think that's correct, but we'd have to rewatch.
Yeah, because we won't be like, oh my god, like to people typing in the comments, oh no, that was totally wrong. That wasn't this. Like, we don't want that.
Well, I haven't watched Countdown to Destruction, and so
it's like I've seen it, but like I've seen it recently, like not recent, but like I rewatch some of this stuff every time. No, I'm not like I know y'all probably don't watch it a lot, but I rewatch Power Rangers like often, so it's fresh in my memory, but it's like I still forget some things.
Yeah.
But what do we think of episode 4, guys?
This was probably one of the more blandish episodes so far.
Yeah.
I'd probably still give it like a 7, though.
I'd give it an 8 just because I was really curious about what the forest meant with like the time that Zato has left, which left me really intrigued. But again, it is ultimately just the setup or something. So, which is why I'd give it an 8.
I do want to say there's a lot of foreshadowing in this episode for Zato.
Uh-huh.
Not the obvious stuff about what the forest said, but also what the word Zenith here means.
Yep.
And I don't know if y'all know what Zenith means, but the official Oxford Dictionary definition is the time at which something is most powerful or successful.
Yep.
And as we go through the season, we will see what that means for Zato.
Yeah.
Yep. Riz and Anthony, what would you give it?
8.
Cool. You know what? I'll give it an 8 as well.
All right, cool.
Ooh, a great episode's coming up. I love this.
So do I. This episode is called Rock Out, and that name is so fitting for this episode. Okay, so first of all, bit of a thing. So Zed has pretty much taken over Earth, and he has declared martial law, and all of the other Ranger teams are being held hostage in prisons. But that's just a setup for future plots for the later episodes. The Rangers, meanwhile, our Cosmic Fury Rangers, they travel to a planet called Akral because that's where the Cosmic Dragon Zord is being held, and Zed's forces are trying to get it, so they have to go there to try to make sure that that they can get it before Zed's forces do. And they show up disguised as monsters, and they're not just monsters, ladies and gentlemen. They are a metal band of monsters called Meat Chrome, which I could not stop laughing when I saw this. Like,
best band name ever, and that song is amazing.
Yeah. And they're pretty much, so they distract the Squid Ink's miners, just putting on an entertainment show for them, and they do it just enough to allow Zato to get in and free the Cosmic Fury Zord. A little bit of drama happens with Fern. This also furthers their plot. Fern actually joins in the diversion at one point, but she almost gets hit really bad, and Izzy gets really angry about that, but we'll talk about that in a second. They free, and pretty much the way that the episode ends is that they free the Zord, and they return it to the base. But they also get a call from Tarek revealing that Zed's forces are pretty much almost completely victorious on Earth. And the anti-Zord field, the source is actually the squid drills. And the ship's transformation to the ship is nearly complete. We get a brief cameo from Heckle from Dino Charge, but we'll talk more about that later. And unfortunately, Ollie has placed a tracker on the Cosmic Dragon Zord, and Zed sends him out to hunt the Rangers down. So, what do we think about this one, guys?
I loved Meat Chrome.
Yeah. It was Izzy who was singing, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that was.
You could definitely tell that the cast had fun filming this.
I could tell too. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they showed a shot of the Rangers so when they've taken their masks off, it showed Amelia, Javi, Izzy, and Ion in their monster disguises without their outfits, and they were wearing some weird looking outfits, and I'm like, okay, what's the story behind them being in these outfits? And then when I saw these monsters, and I realized that that's both awesome and hilarious at the same time.
Because at first I'm thinking awesome. What is this, a Halloween episode? I'm just because I saw the preview shots, and they were wearing those costumes. I'm like,
yeah,
what is it, Halloween or something? Where is this?
I assumed it was a disguise for when they're infiltrating some planet for some business, but I didn't know what.
Yeah, I'll give them points for creativity. We've never had a Ranger team do something like this before.
I also like that we're able to include Fern now, because they wrote Fern to have experience as a musician, which only Javi had, so Fern had to come help them to make a convincing band. It's the small things for me.
Yeah, much to Izzy's annoyment, but we'll get there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do we want to give Rock Off out of 10, guys?
I want to give it a 10 just because of the name song.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 10 too. I really don't care.
Yeah,
that song is 10 worthy. It was a
9. Just seriousness. Creativity wise,
I'll give it a 9.
It was a 9.
Well, yeah.
It was also nice to see Zato back in action fully.
Oh god, yes. I don't know about y'all, but during Dino Fury, I liked Zato a lot. Like he wasn't an Andros or a Carter or anything, but he was such a solid red for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And having him back was so nice here.
Yep.
Especially, I liked the interaction in the beginning when Zato acknowledges and respects Amelia's new designation. I thought that was a nice little payoff.
Like, he knew deep down that she would be perfect for the role if given the chance.
Well, not only that, but it's also solemn for him because of what the Forest told him earlier.
Mm-hmm. Like, he knew his team would be in good hands with him gone.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to just say it right now. Like, the fear that we have at this point in the season is Zeta won't be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we want to move on to 6 now, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, so we have Takeoff, episode 6. This is most of this episode is just revolving around the Rangers trying to escape from Meredith. The big things that happen is that the engine ships malfunction, and while Solon is trying to fix one of the engines, she gets captured, and with the other Rangers pinned down, Fern intervenes, and she takes the final cosmic morpher. This is the morpher that was technically meant for Ollie, but she goes to try and save Solon, and then when she begins to fight, the morpher suddenly bonds with her through Solon's energy, and that turns Fern into a ranger herself. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the very first official Orange Ranger in Power Rangers. I know that we've had Power Rangers and Super Sentai before. We have Battle Cossack and that absolute abomination of a Sentai that I wish I could get through already, Battle Fever J. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this in the podcast. I'm trying to watch Battle Fever J right now, but I keep telling these guys that I hate it. I can't stand those skills. I hate it so much.
You're not gonna watch that show. No, I'm not gonna watch that show. You say you don't like it. I don't like it either. I wouldn't even watch it if I got paid to do it.
Sorry,
I'd watch it.
Not worth it.
And then we had, Tokyo Rokugo and Tokyuja, which, I mean, say what you will about him. He was a good character.
I liked his character. I don't care what nobody says.
But
no, he was a great character in a sea of
3 out of 3. 3 mech characters and
it
was 3 out of 3 for me at least.
Yeah.
Okay, green, orange.
Yes.
Was it pink?
Yeah, it was pink.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember this now.
You know what? And I'll say this: I love that Fern is a ranger, and I love that she's orange. The only complaint that I'll make is that, and you know what? I mean, I don't even hate these. I mean, I have issues with the suits. Like I said, I don't hate them, but my only real complaint about this is that her helmet is a repainted version of Amelia's helmet. And here's the thing: I'm cool with them repainting a helmet. That's not the problem that I have. My problem is, why is it Amelia's helmet? Couldn't you have made it a repainted version of Izzy's helmet because they're a duo? Like, why Amelia's helmet? Like, did you just pick a helmet at random? Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
it's probably because maybe given what their helmets are designed off of, it was the closest one to a raptor, which is what Solon is supposed to be.
Okay, maybe fair enough, but
because greens, you can tell it's saber-toothed tiger inspired because it has the part of the visor that goes down like teeth.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really fit too well.
Okay.
It would have been nice if they added like spikes on the top back of it to emulate her hair. Something
Solon
to make it
a
look
raptor?
more.
Yes,
or raptor-ish.
Because I thought they called her a Solon-saurus or something.
Well, that's what she is, but you can tell based off of her like posture and everything that she's closer to like a velociraptor.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. Just give me a couple seconds.
But I guess the T-Rex helmet would be the closest equivalent, like design-wise.
Okay, but okay, I see.
Or whatever. Yeah,
But yeah, Fern is a ranger now, and I'm absolutely hyped for that. Fern is a great character.
She deserves it after everything she's been
through. I
had a feeling she was going to be a Ranger
because she's been she's been a good character from the little bit of time she's been around, and she's shown that she was more than willing to get her hands dirty. So, she kind of earned it.
Yeah. And Fern frees Solon, they fight off Ollie, and they successfully escape Iridis. And this kind of resolves the conflict. Well, not entirely, but Izzy, even though she's been protective of Fern this whole time, she congratulates Fern on being a Ranger. And with the Rangers headed toward Earth, the episode ends with Lord Zed ordering Squillia to, with Heckle next to her, because she has a crush on Heckle, and she's hanging out with Heckle, to defeat the Rangers before they can arrive. So, what do we think about this one, guys?
I liked it a lot for the Fern reveal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best part of it. I think the other parts with like Ollie and the team appearing to fight them, meh. Like, it's fine. Didn't really excite me that much though. But the Fern being in the Orange Ranger was really hype.
Yeah.
I think that the plot around Ollie finding them was more of like it built up tension because like their safe zone was kind of being closed in on. But yeah, like Solon being kidnapped, don't touch Solon. She's too nice for this. Don't get her involved in any shenanigans. Mm-hmm. and Fern making history as being the first Orange Ranger and a deserving character on top of it. It was good stuff. I'd probably give this one an 8 myself personally.
The only reason I take off points is because I love Fern, like the way that Fern becomes a Ranger and like her arc is absolutely fantastic. But I just wish there was a little bit of epicness to like how she debuts, because all she does is that like the morpher glows and then she's all of a sudden a Ranger. Like, couldn't you have done something like? And the reason why I bring this up, because this is like one of my favorite like new Ranger like debuts. Like, don't show her morphing. Like, have her like show glowing from the outside of the cave, and then like maybe have the monsters get knocked down, and then like slowly show her appear, kind of like how
Zane with in space.
Yeah, Zane. Yeah, Zane. Yeah. He kicks those Jawa-looking creatures out of the Astro Mega ship, and then we see these boots walk down, and then he slowly comes out in his Ranger form, and so like just do that where like Fern walks out in her Ranger form as like the big debut with like some epic music playing, and then they're like, Fern, is that you? Like, that would have been a little bit more epic in my opinion. I don't know.
Honestly,
I love Zane's first appearance as the Silver Ranger.
Yeah.
But
I kind of would have preferred if they had given her like a full screen dedicated morphing sequence, because I haven't mentioned this yet, but I love the Cosmic Fury morphing sequence.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they're great. So great.
They backflip into the morphing grid and stuff like that. I kind of wish they gave her like a solo full screen.
I know. I remember Simon Bennett was like he couldn't do any like solo morphers for some reason or whatever, because due to time constraint, I don't know. It was something he said on Twitter about it.
It's because the Cosmic Fury and the Dino Fury morph sequences are so.
Oh
long.
yeah, okay.
What?
The Dino Fury morph sequence is super long compared to other morph.
Even Samurai? Because I felt Samurai was the longest one out of all of them. Yeah, in my personal opinion.
I mean, the one I'm looking at right now is like 18 seconds. That is nothing compared to the Samurai morphing sequence.
Yeah.
I need to go with Samurai again, I guess.
Actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna go. My TV's muted, but I can go and look and see how long this morphing sequence lasts. So I need to know this myself.
Yeah, Samurai does kind of overstay its welcome.
Yeah, but 18. Okay, well, I mean, Samurai's is so long that like there's literally an episode of Samurai where like a monster says, "That was the longest costume change I've ever seen." Like even the show is aware of how
Jesus
long
Christ.
the morphing sequence is. But what do we want to give this episode 6 out of 10, guys?
I was gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it.
I'll give it an 8.
I'm giving it an 8.5 just because I love Fern's arc, but I'm still taking off points for that debut. Not that, I mean, they could have done it a whole lot better. And I mean, like I said, I mean, if you want to know how I would have done it, I would have done something similar to how they debut Zane in space. I know I keep harping on that. I just love that entrance that Zane makes in the show. So, but anyway, we have episode 7, Operation Seasoning, where so the Rangers have arrived back on Earth, and they come up with a plan to have Tarek and some of his spies sabotage one of the squid drills, because if one of the squid drills goes down, then the anti-Zord force field goes down. But their plan fails, and the Ranger Zords are damaged as they enter Earth, and everybody except Zato and Ion gets captured. Now, there's one point where Heckle is speaking with Squillia, but then he turns on her and their assistant Inkworth, and he actually transforms into the Dino-charged Dark Ranger form, which is an adaptation of the Death Ryuger form from Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, sorry, and which canonizes an event that was previously seen in the comics. I don't know the full story behind that, but I do.
Did you read it one time about the comics again?
Just Heckle becoming the Dark Ranger.
Oh yeah, so it was it happened during, I think, in a midpoint between Shattered Grid, because it was a pretty messed up story about how it happens. I don't want to spoil for anybody who wants to hear about it.
Yeah, but whatever those events are, this episode canonizes it it was already canon, but it's still cool to see it. In the main series.
Although I will say this is one distinction from the comics to live action, that it's completely different. Not talking about the helmet. I mentioned the helmet, because the helmet was the same as it was in Kyoryuger's special. He actually used the blue and red Dino-charged Morpher in the comic. And I know in the show he used his little boomerang morpher. I guess they just was figured like this, used boomerang morpher then. That was a very interesting change. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I need to say this before to say, I know this is gonna be like it's kind of like we're still talking about the episode, but I'm gonna say this one thing. I got so kind of irritated about this episode, but you'll know why, and when we continue the episode. So
okay. Now, a big thing that happens here, we finally find out what was said about what they meant from Zato. So Zato actually saves the Ranger Zords with some of his powers, but he's incredibly winded, and he's recovering at a resistance base, and he reveals that the Morphin Masters use their energy to revive him, and he's been given access to the powers of a Morphin Master. That's how he's able to save the Ranger Zords. But the downside to it is that once he uses up all of the energy that they gave him, he'll die. So, yeah, he's in a pretty dire situation. So the Rangers, Amelia's grandfather arrives with teleporters from Grid Battle Force, and they want to try to use them to transport the squid drills into Zed's prison so that they can disable the shields and free them. Zato wants to use his powers to help, but Ion and Solon don't want to let him. And pretty much with the rest of this, Ion sets up the teleporters, and the plan works. They disable the shields around the prison. Everyone is able to escape from the Rangers, and other civilians escape, including Hottie and Izzy's family. Heckle in his Dark Ranger form, Billy, and all the Rangers, they capture Squillia, and they destroy the squid drills in the Megazord. And with that, the city of Pine Ridge is safe, and the Rangers return to base. Billy and Tarek, they stay with Heckle at the Resistance HQ, and I'm not talking about the Star Wars organization, by the way, where they've captured Squillia, and with that, with one city saved, our Cosmic Fury Rangers now have to find a way to save the Morphin Masters and Ollie, and that's how the episode ends. What do we think about this one, guys? Episode 7.
Before I even say anything. I want to know why, and before anybody even says anything, I just have to get this out of my chest. Please just let me have this. Why did they job my boy Heckle so bad? This is his first time we see him morph in live action, and you have him get beat by that Squilliam chick? Really? Really, y'all? Really? Come on. And even if he did get captured, I'd rather it been somebody else who would look more stronger than the Squilliam chick. I prefer anybody else to have taken him out, but her. Why it had to be her? I will never understand this. This is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her as a villain at all because she's kind of indifferent to the entire ordeal.
I'm not a fan of her, period.
No one is.
Yeah.
And beside from nostalgia, is there any in-story reason why he's even there besides just they need someone evil, someone to pretend to be evil? But it's like, I don't know. I guess that's just my nitpick. If you want to argue with that, that's fine. I have an issue with that.
There's no record of him being a ranger up to this point. Maybe so he wasn't suspicious.
I feel like there's a Boomstick tie-in that we're not aware of.
To be fair, he only appeared in 2 different storylines in the comics, and the first one was of course a little bit in Shadow Grid, and the other was in I think it was Beyond the Grid, because him and several other Rangers were like it's like a big thing where like they got separated from the other Rangers during a fight with Draken, and like 6 of them were like only ones that are able to morph, but they couldn't morph in this new universe they were in because it was like no morphing grid energy or something like that. But it doesn't really tie into this though, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What about Riz and Patrick? You guys got anything to say?
I thought this was it was nice to see Billy get into a fight again. It was cool to finally see Heckle get his, because I was mad that Dino Charge never
I was
did
too.
This.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, I don't know if this was confirmed anywhere, but I think it was mentioned somewhere that he was supposed to become Dark Ranger during Dino Charge, but the suit wasn't available to them at the time.
And Dino Charge, yeah, it wasn't available.
It wasn't available? That's what I thought.
They were doing something.
Was it during the Kyuuser 100 years later thing? That's my only time. That's my only thing. That's the only thing I could think of that they weren't able to use a suit for that reason for.
I think Toei occasionally will do like a play or something with the suit.
Roadshow.
That might have been it. I assumed it was something else because I forgot that special. You know?
But yeah, I was upset that he didn't get this chance in Dino Charge. So I'm glad they finally gave him the opportunity to.
The behind the scenes reason for why they didn't include him, I think, might also be that Saban only paid for the Kyoryuger footage, but he didn't pay the extra for the movie footage.
That cheap mother. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, they could have had him just show up and used him in original footage for like one fight.
Yeah.
Right, but to get the suit, you have to pay the extra royalty on that, right?
Oh, Lord.
Do they really have to pay the royalty for the whole movie, even if they don't end up using footage from it?
That's likely, yeah. It's a suit, so they have no choice. But
Yeah, no
whiz.
Yeah. Toei has a very big lockdown on it.
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the episode where we got Giant Solon,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah, I like that.
When she grew, I was like, yes!
Okay, Squillia.
No, it was hilarious. She deserved that moment.
She did.
What do we want to give 7 out of 10, guys?
I just want to say, before we get to that, I also struggle to understand. Okay, so my first big question is, how did Heckle get to this universe
That's what
at this
I'm
moment in time?
saying. Like,
Anthony, let me talk. You've had your rant.
okay, you can go ahead. It's fine. I'm just
Jeez.
agreeing with you.
It's so
My
weird,
bad.
though.
I don't know. Y'all got sensitive ears. Let me stop. I'm joking.
Alright, so I just want to understand, how did Heckle get here? And then, what led to him getting the powers? Because I'm genuinely just curious on how that works.
Want to know how he got here, Wes?
But then, why don't we
or
see
Coda?
Wes?
Or Coda. I mean, remember, he has contacted the Dino Charge Rangers. The Dino Charge Rangers have access to dimension hopping.
Yeah.
So it could be implied that the Dino Charge Rangers are here for this, and maybe the RPM Rangers also.
So we got the real listener battle?
Yeah, it's possible, but as for how Heckle got his powers, I don't know. Did they ever mention anything about a dark energem during Dino Charge?
Yeah.
No, wait, that's how the Spino
finale.
Charger existed. Yeah. So there had to have been
the dark energy was was literally a plot point in Dino Supercharge.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, so it does exist. So they could easily have just channeled it into a new Dino Charger form.
Although we don't see him use Dino Charger, but I'm implied. Yeah.
It was never seen in the actual show, but you could just
it's kind of like it's not even that. Like, I miss me nitpicking again. I'm sorry. All they could have done was have like a little charger right there. Just use that, and then he can just do the instant morph. But it's fine.
Meh.
I'm really just a nitpick when it comes to this guy, because I really like Heckle during down Supercharge, but at the same time they just kind of like dropped the ball with his character a little bit, especially like in the comics. They did such a better job of him in the comics, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but that's why I'm gonna say, just be glad they even chose to give him this moment at all.
Even though I didn't like it, but I'll have to take my losses when I do my games when I have to play them. So
okay, so if I can be honest here, I would have preferred they cut out some of Mick's airtime to give Heckle more airtime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, okay, so I liked this episode because we get a double blue team up with Billy and Heckle for Dino Power. It would have been cool if we could have gotten Ethan somehow, but we didn't.
Unfortunately.
And Kodo would have been amazing, but I doubt that would ever happen because that would be too good. But no, I just like that a lot. But yeah, no, to answer your question, Nate, I'm probably going to give this an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 also.
I'll give it an 8
Well,
too.
due to my rant, I'm giving it a 7. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm still over it.
The petty
7, yes.
All right, so now we have episode 8, Changing Sides. So first off, Zed reveals a plan that he and Strazel made where they're going to use the energy inside the machine that they used to trap the Morphin Masters. Now on Earth, while the other Rangers are they're going around liberating areas from Zed's forces, they liberate Japan and New Zealand. They make a plan to free Ollie, where they want to destroy Ollie's Tricera statue, which would break his link to the morphing grid, and that would destroy all the energy in him that's making him evil. And the Rangers get a little bit of help. Ion, while locking up his cafe, he encounters some old villains from the previous season, Slither and Mucus. They're disguised in their human forms as magicians. They apparently survived the battle of the Sporix Beast, and they decided, okay, well, we're going to stay humans now and live amongst them as the traveling mushroom circus. But then Lord Zed destroyed their circus. And sensing that, they're for real, that, they've legitimately been redeemed, Ion recruits them and to join the resistance against Zed's forces. And they come up with a plan to have them infiltrate one of the squid drills and discover Zed's base, as well as destroy the Tricera statue. and during but then they get attacked by Squillia and Bajilia attack the Bajilia arrives at the base trying to free Squillia, and they fight them off, and both of them are destroyed. And with that, they decide to so Slyther, who remember can shapeshift, he decides to disguise himself as Squillia, and Mucus is going to be her new lawyer. I love that.
Lawyer.
And they enter one of the squid drills. They discover where Lord Zed's base is. Now, unfortunately, Zato is left comatose because of some magic that he used. But Ion and Solon have been refusing to tell the Rangers his secret, but Zato reveals it to himself. And the episode ends with the Rangers receiving a transmission from Zed's base on Eltar. Now, Mucus and Slyther approach where the Tricera statue is, and the Morphin Masters are being held. And they destroy the Tricera statue, and they demorph Ollie, but unfortunately, it still looks like Ollie is under Zed's control, and he captures the two. A little bit of a fun fact, Billy mentions the city Reefside is still under Zed's control. Reefside is the home city of the Dino Thunder Rangers, so that's pretty cool. What did we think of episode 8, guys?
It was a good episode because Slyther's
right.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I didn't. One of my things that every time I was watching Dino Fury is like Slyther's might be one of the best reoccurring villains in the series.
Oh yeah.
Jab, punch, sweep kick. Like the dialogue he got was amazing. So him and Mucus being back put a stupid smile on my face. I'm glad that they changed sides and actually did something kind of cool with like some spy ops level stuff. It was just a fun episode.
I'm trying to remember that mirror wish thing. Was that established in the last 2 seasons? Because I don't remember it.
It's what established.
Remember that wish that Mucus wanted to be human? Was that?
Yeah, remember those? You remember those tablets? Those things that they bought at that. Was it a circus one time where Emilia wished to find out what happened to her parents and everybody else?
Oh, yeah.
I remember now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mucus still had one of those.
I was so confused. I was like, why don't you just wish the thing back to be? Yeah, I know why. Okay, that makes perfect sense now.
Yeah.
I'm glad one of us rewatched Dino Fury.
Because I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah. I sat there. I watched all 50-something episodes in the span of a week.
Thank you for that, because I honestly forgot.
Dino Fury is still fresh on my mind.
Appreciate that, because I was like, wait, where'd this come from? Like,
yeah, I don't blame you if you had like a gap between watching the two. That moment was kind of forgettable, so I don't blame you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You have anything to say, Riz?
No, I think y'all covered this pretty well, honestly. Like, I'm just happy to see Mucus back. Like, Mucus is such an adorable character in this thing.
Yeah.
And you can never hate Mucus, despite her name being terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, her and Slyther both in general are fun characters.
And the actress who plays Mucus, who also plays her in her human form as well, she's pretty cute. I'll say that. I was like, wow, she's pretty cute.
She is really cute.
Isn't her counterpart male in Rhea Soldier?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay.
Wait, serious? That's a male character?
Really?
Soldier? Wow.
I don't know.
The design fits female.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And actually, I probably already said this several times in our review, but Mucus in the Japanese version is actually the one that creates the monsters of the week. Yeah.
Really?
It's pretty gross how this character uses his abilities, but you have if we ever, I hope we never get to Rhea Soldier, because I'm dreading as much as y'all say how some of the other Sentai's are bad. Soldier is kind of up there in terms of being bad, in my personal opinion, because I've seen the whole thing and it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Well, dang.
Maybe I'll have to adjust my bottom 5 Super Sentai series after I'm done with
But
that.
y'all might like it though. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm being too hard on it. I don't know.
In due time.
Yeah.
In due time.
Yeah.
What
One
will
day
we
we'll
give?
get there.
What will we give episode 8 out of 10, guys?
9.
I'm gonna give it. I'm giving it 9 too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we move on to our penultimate episode, episode 9, Master Plan. So as the episode begins with, Billy and Ion are wondering how they can, save Zato, but something more important happens. Something a bit more crucial happens. Zed reveals that he's captured Slyther and Mucus, and, Ollie, they haven't cured him, and Vigilia has also regenerated from one of her tentacles that survived the blast. But then, in the middle of the message, Ollie revealing that he actually was cured from Zed's control, he turns on him and reveals the Rangers Zed's plan to use. Basically, he wants to use the Morphin Master energy to make himself a Morphin Master. And with that, the Rangers, make a plan to go on to Eltar. Now, there's a brief, pep talk between her and Billy. Billy warns Amelia that they might be, walking into a trap. And, the Cosmic Fury Rangers are going to be on their own because the other Ranger teams are saving other cities. And Amelia opts, okay, she'll lead the Rangers by herself. Billy wishes her luck. And after they fight off Inkworth, which is one of Brigilia's assistants, the Rangers destroy him, and then they infiltrate Zed's forces, and they free Ollie, Slyther, and Mucus, but then they get trapped in a prisoner room, which their teleportation's been blocked, and the fortress is being left to self-destruct. And with no other solution, Zeta uses what little remains of his Morphin Master energy to shield the Rangers from the blast, and he saves the team, but it comes at the cost of his life. The Morphin Grid opens up and takes his body away. Ion gets knocked out after that happens. The Rangers, they take Zato's Morpher and Master Redstaff back to base. The Rangers arrive at Zed's Zed begins his transformation. He becomes his own Morphin Master form called Master Zed. Now, Ollie is able to use Zeta's Morpher to transform into his own blue Cosmic Fury Ranger form. And they try to take on Master Zed, but he's too powerful, and he destroys the Cosmic Fury Zords. But Brigilia and her forces, they arrive and they capture Lord Zed and the Master Captivator. That's where all the Morphin Masters are being held. And the Rangers are also captured by Brigilia's forces. And Brigilia reveals that she has her own plans to use Master Zed to create basically what will happen is that it's going to create a reverse Zordon wave. So remember in Countdown to Destruction how Zordon released an energy wave that destroyed all the forces of good? Well, they're going to do that, but the exact opposite. There's going to be a huge energy wave that sweeps across the universe and destroys everything that is good, which that's not good. And hope looks lost. Mucus and Slyther go to help Solon. Go to try to help they try to go find help while Solon calls out for help to the other Ranger teams. And the episode ends with Brigilia counting down until they'll release the evil wave. One fun fact here is that Billy mentions the city New Tech City. That is, technically not in a timeline yet, but in a few years from now, it will be the home city of the SPD Rangers, which maybe that kind of connects with the Space Patrol Alpha thing that Adam and Aisha were working for in Once and Always, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well,
nice little
if we're don't name the timelines correctly, and hopefully maybe this is kind of like how the year is in canon. There's only 2 years before SPD starts in the timeline if it takes place in 2023. So it makes sense for New Tech City to be active and around for that time period.
Well, the only problem with all of this, and this is a humongous nitpick, I acknowledge that 100%, and this does not detract any value from what they're doing here. It's just a nitpick I have. It doesn't make sense to say that the aliens that are being displaced right now and being sent to New Tech City are the foundation of New Tech City, because in parts of SPD, they reference events with aliens like 10, 15 years ago.
You know what? You're right.
It's a small little nitpick. They did their best to try and rectify the continuity, but they can't, because we would have needed Disney or Saban to have done something earlier.
True, so dang it. Saban!
But it's very cool to see this happen and them to at least acknowledge it to try and save the continuity. Because if they hadn't made that reference, we'd be wondering, where did New Tech City come from and where did the aliens coming from?
Is true.
So I like it. I just wish we had foresight from Saban and Disney to do more with it earlier. But as for the episode, okay, so I know we've been rebuilding the Lost Hope from episode 1 and 2, right? Like where we lost Zeta, we lost Ollie, we have Hobby with one arm missing. And we've been slowly redoing stuff, getting new powers, getting better with the Zords, got Zeta back, got Ollie with a bionic arm. But then out of left field, frickin' Master Zed. And my first thought was, man, Hasbro really wanted to one-up the Boom Studio Comics, because Boom Studio Comics made Zed a Power Ranger. And Hasbro said, I see your Power Ranger, I'm going to raise you a morphing.
Pretty much.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
But
go ahead.
I said, you had to have seen the look on my face when they went over that the plan was meant to be in an inverse of the in space ending.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's awesome.
With the reverse Z-Wave, I was like, what?
It's honestly very perfect in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like it.
I don't like it.
And I don't understand
who's doing it, but I do like the plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I also like the reference, I don't know if it's in this episode or episode 10, but Master Zed makes a comment saying, I wish Dark Spectre could see me now.
Yeah.
Love that reference.
I thought that was pretty awesome. But, I don't mind this being Zed. The only person I would have rather have been is Rita.
Yeah, but Zed leaves a bigger impact than Rita does.
Correct, and that's why I don't mind Zed being the one. Like, I genuinely am very curious to hear Anthony's reason for why not Zed. Why not Zed for this evil wave?
Oh, no. You misunderstood what I was saying. I didn't say I didn't like him being I didn't like Bajillion be the one doing the planning, is what I meant to say.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, that I agree with.
I honestly cannot stand her. I think that's probably the reason why I didn't like this season all that much, because she was on to bring it. I understand that she's there as the reason why it has all these new, minions and weaponries and all that stuff and ships and all that. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I kind of wish she has just kept being destroyed during that fight between Mucus and Cyber come back. Because honestly, I didn't really.
Yeah.
I just don't like the character. Even though the character is doing a lot and that's cool and all that, I just don't like you.
No, I mean, that's fair. I get that.
I mean, it also makes sense because she's the CEO of a company. She ends up being a slime ball who manipulates people.
And honestly, I'm going to probably get some flack for even saying this, but I don't really care.
I agree. No, I agree with you on that one.
Honestly, how do you know get to your agreement when I haven't made my point yet?
I only agree with you at the point where you're gonna say like, "Oh, I don't really care about her as a CEO or whatever."
No, that wasn't my point. So let me make my point before you say something.
I'm gonna roll here, man.
No, you're not. You're off. No, I was gonna say I like Basilia's character in one instance, and that's it's a commentary about the world today that we live in, especially with the wars and all that going on right now in other parts of the world. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go any further than that. You guys in this podcast know my views on it, but I think it's very fitting that we have some social commentary here talking about how these corporations and companies out there are pulling the strings to create more war to make more profit for themselves. I thought that was a very apt social commentary and a very mature take for Power Rangers to even acknowledge that. Like, we don't get Power Rangers doing social commentary like this very often, if ever. And I tend to think that this was a really good thought at, like, helping kids understand the crappy world that we sometimes live in. Because, you know, while Bedelia and Squillia are kind of goofy and derpy and we don't really like them as characters, but at the same time, if you really think about it, do we really like the big companies out there right now, like SpaceX and Meta and all the other companies out there that are doing similar stuff right now?
Nope. Not even close.
So I think while we dislike Bedelia and Squillia, I think Simon has a huge win here for those characters because they're not meant to be liked. We have Lord Zed for somebody that we like, but we needed villains that we can genuinely say we don't like. And I think they fit that bill pretty well in that context.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So I get why they did what they did here. I don't dislike it. I actually respect it. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that happened in this episode is just really soul-crushing and amazing. Like, the stakes have never been higher in the entire history of Power Rangers. We've never had something like an evil wave to knock out all the good in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, we've never had a threat like this. We've never had to deal with, like, this problem. And I don't know, this just really ups the ante a lot. And I'm probably going to get more flack for this, but I'm going to give this a 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 10 too. Like, both Fragilia's plan and the idea that, like, Zed wants to become a Morphin Master. Like, I love both of these plans. Like,
I don't remember the last time I felt this tense watching an episode of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
The correct answer is you've never felt this tense watching an episode of Power Rangers.
No, I have once. No, here's the thing. I have once before, and that's going to be a point I'm going to bring up when we get done talking about the next episode because it's gonna come full circle for me.
Okay.
Do we all want to give this a 10?
Because of what I said earlier, I don't want to give it a 10 because, like I said, even though you explained all that, I still don't necessarily like. Like I said, you gave a good explanation. and more power to you. I just don't agree. I'm gonna give it a 9. So yeah.
That's respectable, man. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, 9 is not a bad number for this.
Nope.
All right, we move on to this very last episode 10, which is simply called The End. So the episode begins with Ion finding himself in another world, which is the Morphin Grid, and he sees Zato, but it's not actually Zato, and I'll go into more detail on that in a second. But so Mucus and Slyther, they commandeer a squid drill and they interfere with the evil wave attack, and they force Virgilia to retreat. And the Rangers try to escape Eltar, and they're stopped by Zed's blockade. But luckily, Billy arrives, and there's many other Ranger teams in tow. We get like this big all-out Megazord brawl, which is absolutely awesome. We have the original Megazord, we have the Astro Megazord, we have the Galaxy Megazord, the Ninja Steel Megazord, and the Beast X Megazord, and they all arrive to break Zed's blockade. Really cool. Reminds me of what they were originally planning to do for the final battle against Serpentera and Forever Red. This episode finally gave us something like that, and it's awesome.
I yelled when the Astro Megazord popped up.
Dude.
Yeah.
I yelled. I was like, yeah!
Okay. I need to set the stage for you here, Patrick.
Uh-huh.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, I watched this episode probably at 5 o'clock in the morning by the time I got to this point.
Yeah, it was about 4:30 in the morning for me, too.
So, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, on the premiere day that it's coming out, house is empty, and all through the house, all you can hear is a, "What the hell?" The Astro Megazord? Andrew!
I believe it.
The only complaint I have about this, aside from the original Megazord, where they use the either it's stock footage or it's new footage, but they use the cockpit that we see in Once and Always. We don't see any of the other ones, which I think really sucks because, like, I mean, you can just use some brief stock footage from the Beast X Megazord's cockpit, because I mean the Beast X Megazord is from one of your seasons, so you can take that.
And like they literally did this in the Grid Connection, team up.
Yeah.
Could you give us, like, you have Mick in his Ninja Steel suit? Can you just film some footage with him in a different cockpit with him piloting the Ninja Steel Megazord? Like,
I mean, couldn't you at least gotten Andros and Leo to do like a voice line or something? Because I know like a simple little voice recording over Skype or something could have been
like
real
you still
nice.
you could have done, you could have got
Galaxy
the same guy who did the Leo one from the Legacy Rescue Team Up.
Nope.
Or just get someone to voice, okay? Like, Power Rangers has a history of getting terrible dub voice actors. Even Hasbro has that happen. Connor's voice in that one.
We don't talk about that.
No.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, but so just get, like, even if you just give me like a brief like shot of like the red spacesuit with some poorly dubbed actor that doesn't even sound like Christopher Kamen Lee, I'll be I'll be frustrated, but then the kid in me is going to say, "Who cares? There's Andros for 2 seconds." So, I mean, I'll just completely forget about that.
It's a budgetary thing at this point.
Yeah, because this whole thing was original footage for the most part. They probably had to conserve funds.
They had the models already made for the OG Megazord because of Once and Always. But having to make the Astro Megazord, the Lost Galaxy Megazord, and the other two, dude, that's a budget. That's a big hit. So giving us that, I respect. I have questions on the legality they would have had pulling footage from In Space or Lost Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because there are rights that Saban would have still owned for that stuff, I think. Because it's complicated, right? Like, if you look back at Overdrive, when Adam did the morph, they have to build up a whole new morph sequence because they couldn't take the morph from Saban era.
And they also gave him a brand new theme song because they couldn't use the Go Go Power Rangers thing. So
correct. Which is also kind of sort of why they rebuilt the Mighty Morphin morph sequence in Once and Always and copy and pasted Billy's over from that. So I have questions on if they had the legality to pull in that footage.
But my thought is, like, maybe you could take the Megazord cockpit from Once and Always, but then like maybe dim the lighting a little bit to like cover it up, and just show like one close up shot of like Andros speaking, and then with the Galaxy Megazord cockpit, you know, you can just have Leo standing up in like some dimly lit room with like with his hand over one of the trans dagger things.
I think the issue you're gonna have there is the New Zealand studio does not keep the suits that they have. They have to go back to Toei at the end of the season. So, for example, the Beast Morpher suits were not with them anymore. In Space was never really there except for during Super Mega Force for like 5 seconds. So I don't think they had access to the suits, and they couldn't do it. It just sucks because Toei and the American adaptations of the Super Sentai stuff have such a weird relationship where we could have had all these other suits make an appearance, like you're saying, like, you know, like a 5-second thing with poorly done voice acting. But you know what? To be honest with you, Nate, Christopher Kamen Lee would have come back for that one-liner. I promise you that would have happened.
Yeah. Oh, he would.
I have no doubt.
Man, if I heard Andros' voice one more time,
you me both, buddy. You me both.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect Leo would have come back. Like, I don't think he could have gotten to do it again. Or if he did, it'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
Because he's not as involved in the community anymore. But Christopher Kamen Lee is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, he was just 3 hours away from me in a small town in Texas. And he's going to be at, I think he's at Ranger Stop this year, if I'm not mistaken, in Orlando.
Yeah. Hopefully he comes here next year so that Patrick can meet him.
And Red.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Hey.
Anyway, let's continue. We got a lot more to cover here. So the Rangers find a way to stop the evil wave from blasting out of the Master Captivator. Ion wakes up from his coma, and the Rangers come up with a plan to send the Captivator into the Morphin Grid, which would, you know, stop it from killing everyone if it gets unleashed. So the Rangers head to Zordnia, where they hope to use Master Red Staff to open up a portal to the grid. But they get chased by Brasilia, who tries to stop them from opening the portal. They destroy her with a new weapon called the Cosmic Blaster, but the Captivator reaches a critical point. And then Zato arrives. He is now a Morphin Master. And he sends the Rangers into the Captivator, and that's where they encounter Master Zed. Zato convinces Zed that he'll be destroyed if the wave gets released, and he'll free Zed if he releases the Morphin Master's energies. And Zed agrees, though he's reluctant at first. And this is, well, we'll talk about it when we get done. So Zed is freed from the tube, and he's not destroyed, but he gets trapped in a vision where he's basically forced to live his worst nightmare. He's stranded with Rita Repulsa, his wife. Which, and Zato says that he might find... So this is basically Zed's final fate. And with that, the Morphin Masters have been freed. They congratulate the Rangers on a job well done. And Zato becoming a Morphin Master was thanks to the consciousness that he met in the Morphin Grid, which saved Zato. Zato bids farewell to his friends, and they have a heartfelt goodbye. He deports with he departs with the other Morphin Masters. And then we get a big epilogue where they return home. Hobby, they attend a concert with Hobby. And, Tarek and Santura, they have their second child. Yeah, they were revealed to be pregnant at the end of Dino Fury Season 2. And Billy concludes that Ion, the energy that Ion saw in the morphing grid was Zordon. It just materialized as Zato because, he was familiar with Zato. And that leads Billy to conclude that Zordon may still be out there somewhere. And the episode ends with the Rangers celebrate. The episode in the season ends. The Rangers celebrated Hobby's concert, and Zato watches over his team as they cheer on. And that is how Cosmic Fury ends.
Coolio.
That last line that Zato had made me almost tear up a little bit.
It
did? Yeah, just because it was like
I mean, yeah, but like
he was like,
I guess I didn't feel that way
because it was him watching over his friends one last time, and that cool cheesy line that he'd been spewing the whole time felt more like somber this time.
It did, yeah.
So, but
anybody want to go first with their thoughts on this episode?
I want to kind of merge the last two episodes into one because this is going to be a bit of a story. I had been a fan of this series since the beginning, since Day of the Dumpster, just like Riz was.
Yeah.
And even though I was a fan of Mighty Morphin, Zeo, and Turbo, I was never really that into the Power Rangers up until In Space happened. And In Space was the season that fully pulled me in. What cemented me as a diehard Power Rangers fan was Countdown to Destruction, which I still believe is the best finale in the series. And I don't think you guys would disagree with that too much. Watching the last two episodes of this, it brought me back to that day, that Saturday morning when I was watching Countdown to Destruction for the first time on Fox Kids, because it had the same feeling almost to the point where this was written to be a sequel to Countdown to Destruction. In terms of like the grand invasion of Earth and the inverted Z-wave and just like the overall like series finality feeling to it all. And remember how I said that this two-parter made me feel tense? So did Countdown to Destruction way back in the day. And this finale reminded me why I love this series so much. Because it reminisced from the two-parter that made me truly fall in love with the series. So to say that I was reverted back to a 7-8-year-old kid watching this would be the understatement of the goddamn century. I felt nostalgic watching this. It was intense, and just like it just felt like a big love letter to everybody who'd been with the series since the Zordon era. And I loved it.
Yeah, to kind of go off of that, while I have some nitpicks about the ending, I have to agree with you, Patrick. This was a love letter to us in the same way that Once and All is a love letter to us. But I think this is a bigger love letter to us because this was written for the hardcore fan. Once and All is written for the fans who dropped Power Rangers after Mighty Morphin. And I greatly just fell in love with the story and the stakes being so high because you're right. This was complete Countdown to Destruction vibes. I mean, I remember when we were growing up and Fox had done like a little preview for the next episode, which was going to be Countdown to Destruction. And I remember seeing in the little preview clip, the Shadow Ranger, Blue Centurion, and I was like, wait, that's Trey. These are all
Trey,
characters.
Yeah, we see the Alien Rangers there too.
Yeah.
Right. So we're seeing all these other Rangers, and while it felt kind of depressing knowing that the stakes are so high, little 6, 7-year-old Rizwan was seeing a little bit of hope to how we can finish this, because it's not just a fight for one team of Rangers, it's all Rangers doing this together, which is what we get here. And unfortunately, we don't see the suits as much. Like, we don't see like Dino Thunder or Lightspeed Rescue or Time Force or anyone. Like, we don't see those suits doing their thing, but we hear about them. Billy makes sure to keep us updated on the fact that, hey, Reefside is under attack, and so we can all assume Connor, Kira, and Ethan are off fighting the good fight to protect their city. And so we're getting these little callbacks to make it feel like, okay, this isn't just Amelia's team dealing with this, it's everyone. And that's really amazing to me. I mean, we even got Heckle, for God's sake.
Yep.
And that to me is insane. I wish Heckle was in the final scene, but I do love the fact that we got this thing where just everyone comes together to defeat Zed and stop the Z-Wave in their own way. I also gotta say, Ollie's character, dude, his entire character arc is like it's just incredible to me, his character arc, because the first time he turned evil, he was under some goofy spell and he didn't really know what was going on. But this time, the spell's stronger and he is cognizant of what's going on. And so he remembers a conversation he and Zed had, and he was able to use that logic that Zed told him to convince Zed to relinquish that power. And it just felt like a full circle for Ollie to me, and it made his character all the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, Ollie has moved up into like being a top 5 blue.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I kind of struggle with a little bit. So while I agree with you, he's one of the best blues now. I don't know if I can really say that, because is he still the best blue, or like is he still one of the best blues, even though he was evil for the parts that made him one of the best?
Yeah, I would still count it.
Okay.
I would still count it.
Because that's the thing I struggle with, is he was evil for the best parts of his character growth.
Yeah, but it's how he responded to those moments that.
Yeah.
Well, let's save this part for the character analysis part.
Yeah.
But I'll say that the only complaint I have, and even then, I mean, it's just a nitpick. I kind of wish that they just that they had like a big epic, like maybe like a fight with Lord Zed's partially before they convince him to like go down. Like, that's the one problem I have, because like even like before Andros, like in Countdown to Destruction, before Andros destroys Zordon's energy tube, he has to go through like a huge fight with first Astronema, which creates this big emotional moment when he's afraid he's killed his sister. And then after that, he has to fight Ecliptor briefly before he destroys the energy tube. Like, could we have just gotten like a little bit of action between them and Lord Zed? And honestly, I mean, I kind of wish that they destroyed Lord Zed. Like this, I mean, I don't know. It feels like their final fate with Lord Zed was just meant to just be a bit more played for laughs or something. So that's the one thing that kind of brings this down a little bit, but it's just a minor
I actually
nitpick.
agree with Nate on this one.
No, and I have the same nitpick, Nate, about Lord Zed's fate. And my nitpick actually goes back into chronological ordering in history. Because the Lord Zed that is reanimated in Dino Fury is the Lord Zed prior to marrying Rita.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to me for Lord Zed to have a fate being stuck with his wife when this Zed doesn't know a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure he's been told about it from other people that, he married Rita at some point, but...
I mean, the entire climax is just them talking with Lord Zed. Like, could we have just... I was really looking forward to seeing them fight Lord Zed a little bit, and I understand that, like, he's so powerful that, like, defeating him conventionally would just feel really cheap. So I get that you have to come with an unconventional ending for this whole thing, but could we have just gotten, like, a little bit of action between those two? Like,
well, I think...
Okay.
Hang on, Anthony. I want to give you something that I think you're going to enjoy. I think what they could have done here, and would have made this like an 11 for me, would have been if Zato as Morphing Master fought Lord Zed.
Yes.
And that was it. Like, the other Rangers sat back and watched while Zato did the fighting. Morphing Master versus Morphing Master. He wouldn't have won, but it would still have been a really cool demonstration.
Like, maybe the other, and you give the other 5 Rangers something to do, like them defeating, like give them like a brief fight with like Brasilia before they use the Cosmic Blaster.
No.
And they get to do their thing.
Brasilia's not worthy of that.
Well, okay, but yeah, still, Zato, but still, I like the idea of just a final battle between Master Zenith and Master Zed.
Yeah. Because, again, look at Zato's name, Zenith. What does that mean? Like, the point of time when he's the most powerful, he has become one of the most powerful beings in the universe. He's not Master Zed strong because he doesn't have the power of 5 of them. Or, no, 6 of them? Are there 6 or 5 Morphing Masters?
There's 6.
I think 6.
6, okay. Yeah, he doesn't have the power of 6 Morphing Masters, so he can't win, but it would still be a really cool fight. And I think that fight would go a long way in helping people like Anthony be more okay with how the thing ended.
And it... Go ahead, Anthony. Say
honestly, Riz pretty much summed up my feelings towards the ending. Like, I was thinking it was like, okay, I have my nitpicks or whatever and my issues with it overall. But I figured, okay, they might fix it in the ending. And I'm just like, that was it. That's it. Like, I was expecting more, but I guess I don't know. It just wasn't really feeling it. And when I was talking to you, Nate, and Riz about it, of course, you guys were kind of like not really necessarily agreeing with how I felt about the series ending and how the show was overall. But I still somewhat had some fun with it, somewhat, looking back. I just... Yeah. It's kind of difficult because I can't necessarily say or agree that I think it's... Honestly, maybe it's a nostalgia in me, but I don't really necessarily think that the way they handle it here felt like kind of destruction levels for me, but that's only because there was way more emotion for me during that time period as opposed to now, because my viewpoint is kind of different. But if you guys feel that if you guys view differently, that's fine. I will not discard that.
No, and this is kind of why I still say Countdown to Destruction is the best finale, because of dude, nothing in the series can compare to when Andros was fighting Astronema and Ecliptor in that final episode.
Yeah.
Nothing comes close to that.
No, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to do you one better here, Pat. Nothing comes close to when Bolt steps out and says, "I'm a Power Ranger."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That moment to me trumps Astronema versus Andros.
I mean, there's no wrong answer there, but man, Countdown to Destruction was such a good two-parter.
Yeah, but I will say...
and I mean, just to say this briefly, like, Riz's idea of it being just like Zato versus Master Zed, like that's kind of
It
a
would
neat
mirror
parallel
that.
to
Yeah.
Countdown to Destruction, where we have the final battle where it's like Andros versus Astronomer / Ecliptor, like one-on-one, and then we have Zato do the other one.
Right,
Like,
but I mean, even though we didn't get that, again, like I said earlier, that's a minor nitpick to me in the grand scheme. I still would say this finale is in top 5 finales for the franchise.
It is.
I don't know where I would rate it because I can't. Countdown to Destruction is definitely number 1.
Yeah.
Time Force's finale is definitely still very high up there, like number 2 at the very least.
I mean,
Light
to me,
Speed
I think
is really good.
To me, I think
Lightspeed is really good.
Lightspeed is amazing too.
Yeah, Lightspeed is a good ending.
Oh no, wait, I'm thinking Lost Galaxy actually.
Nah, I mean Lost Galaxy's finale is pretty good, but I wouldn't put it.
I would though.
Fate of Lightspeed was a good ending. I thought SPD had a really good ending.
I didn't really care for that one as much.
I like Dino Thunder's ending.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I
didn't really care about RPMs as much as everyone.
I think I understand. I get
that
why.
Finale
like I had issues with that ending too, but that's just me.
Jungle Fury's ending, despite only being one episode, is actually really good.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Jungle Fury should have been the best season we ever got. But
I'd even go. And shoot, I'd even say, even though a lot of people don't like Mystic Force, I thought its ending was really good.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I love that ending.
Yeah. But I would. But I mean, with me in the finales, it's like the Countdown to Destruction and the End of Time are kind of in a league of their own. With the Fate of Lightspeed just kind of barely, possibly getting in there. Maybe I would put this in this territory, but I don't know. I'm debating that in my head, and I really don't know.
If Space and Time Forces are S tier, I would say Cosmic Fury would jump into A tier with Lightspeed and whatever else you want to put in there.
But I would still say and I have a bit of bias toward Lightspeed's finale because I watched that as a kid to death. So maybe I'd put Lightspeed's finale ahead of this one. But
and we'd be wrong.
Yeah, I still agree. I'd still agree though that this is a top 5 finale probably because I've always had like when it comes to finales I've always thought like I definitely want to put Countdown to Destruction, End of Time, and Fate of Lightspeed in there, but then I kind of struggle with some of the other ones. This is now like that 4th one that I would guarantee put in there.
Yeah. No, we need to really sit down and think about that more and like rank them, but not right now. But
that's another podcast.
No,
and that's why I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and so okay, here's the other nitpick I have about this entire thing. I know Simon came out and said that this takes place after Once and Always, but I honestly want this to take place before Once and Always.
I do too.
Yeah.
So here's my thinking for that. Billy might have been just out doing his space escapades, and just doing his own thing, hanging out with Mick, seeing the world. Cosmic Fury ends. He finds out that Zordon is in the grid, and he ends up just going on this hunt to find Zordon, and that leads to the events of Once and Always. Like, I don't understand, like, people saying that Billy went through all this stuff in Once and Always, then went through Cosmic Fury, and then he has hope now that Ion made the reference to Zordon, that Zordon's still out there. I don't know.
It almost kind of feels like he didn't like learn his lesson. Not saying that it's not bad that he is still thinking about Zordon. It's not that. It's just I feel like they did it backwards. They should have just had, like you said, they should have just done, this be a prequel to Once and Always.
And then my other part of this that I didn't understand this, but Billy bases the entire reason for Zordon being out there still on the fact that Ion hears him say, "May the power protect you." But that's not something exclusive to Zordon, because Fern says that in season 2. So I don't understand. Like, I get what Billy's going for, but I feel like that's the thing that other people have said in the franchise.
I think it's because Ion specific. It's because they specifically knew he was inside of the morphing grid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
who else that could reside in there would know what that phrase means.
Yeah.
So I think
when
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I also find it interesting and odd that when they talk to the Morphing Masters about everything at the end, the Morphing Masters feel genuinely surprised that Zeta is a Morphing Master, and they also are surprised that there is some other being in the grid like Zordon living there. Like, it just tells me that the Morphing Masters are not the end-all be-all that we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, again, these are not things that detract from my 10 out of 10, but this opens up so many questions that I don't know if we'll get an answer to now.
Do you still want to give it a 10 out of 10?
Oh no, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. There's no changing the 10 out of 10.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that we have a lot of open-ended questions that we're not going to resolve because the reboot's coming in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And so it's unfortunate. Like, the fact that the reboot's coming up and leaves us with open-ended questions is not something that would make this not a 10.
Yeah.
It's still a 10, but it could have been an 11 if we had some finalities to some of these things that we don't have finality on.
What would you give it, Anthony?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious about this.
Judging by how everything came together, and I still have my nitpicks, it's not a 10 for me, honestly. It's not an 11. It's not anything above. It's gonna be down a big. But I will say this though. The only reason I'm even giving this a score that I'm giving it right now is because, my God, that cosmic cannon is gas. It is so cool. Like, my God, like, that cannon is amazing. I miss when Rangers, even Sentai doesn't do this anymore, when they just have a cannon. They have like the weapon, the individual weapons, and they combine them to a cool weapon, whether it's sword, blaster, whatever. I like that. And Cosmic Fury gave me that. And I'm like, you know what? You guys get a bump up for that. So I'm going to give it a total of 8.
When's the last time we had a cannon like that? Because I'm thinking Dio.
Wait, are we talking like as far as like combinable weapons goes? Or
yeah,
like I'm talking about like
RPM.
Yeah. RPM had one?
Yeah. Yeah. Power Rangers wise, right? Not Sentai wise.
Yeah. Samurai. No. Mega Force
Super Mega Force with the
Super
I don't remember what it was.
Okay, Gallium.
Yeah, whatever the heck it was called in Gokai.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's just the key. That's not they don't have individual weapons like.
Then Mega Force.
The Dino Charge Rangers could combine their weapons, but it wasn't a cannon.
Yeah, but it was a spear.
I count.
Jungle Fury.
But Jungle Fury's not a weapon.
They didn't combine though.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was probably Mega Force with the Mega Blaster.
Interesting.
All right, so we don't really have to talk I mean, we've pretty much gone over the whole plot, and what our thoughts are. We don't really have to talk about villains because we've talked about Zed and how great he was, and I think Riz kind of said everything Riz kind of said it best with the analysis on Virgilia. I actually didn't think about that until now, so that was really brilliant. What I think we should do now is each of us go over the Rangers: Amelia, Zato, Ollie, Izzy, Javi, Ion, Fern, and you know what? We can add Billy there if you guys want, but each of us just go through the rankings with the characters, and whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I'm not ranking Billy in this.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
but I'll rank the characters based off of the entire Fury series because Dino into Cosmic. I'll probably put Izzy at number 1. Just she's one of my favorite female Rangers of all time. She didn't really get as much to work with in Cosmic Fury as I was hoping, but I just love her as a character too much. And then I'd probably put number 2. Man, this is a tough cast to rank. I'd probably put. Oh, crap, names forgetting. I'm slipping my names here.
Amelia, Zato.
Amelia. I'd probably put Amelia at number 2, and then Ollie, and then Javi, and then Zato, Ion, and then I'm only putting Fern at the bottom because we didn't get as much time with her as we did the others.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily that she's bad. It's just that we're not as familiar with her as the others.
That's fair.
So they're all like out of 10, I'd say they're all at least 8s.
Mm-hmm. So for me, my list is kind of similar to you, Pat, except Amelia's my top, followed by Izzy, and that's only because. So there's 2 things at play here for me. Amelia's at the number 1 spot because she is the main character of the Fury series. But not only that, but her character journey from Dino Fury through Cosmic Fury, she has evolved a lot. Yeah. She went from being some little ghost hunter, and she was a great Pink Ranger, but she was like. She was just a ghost hunter. She had like her little quirks and all that. But then she started. Whenever she and Ollie started having their relationship, that's when her character started turning around because she got more multifaceted in her personality. Mm-hmm. Because not only was she like looking for her parents and looking for the ghost and all that stuff, but they spent a few episodes building up the Ollie-Amelia relationship. And then, so when Cosmic Fury happens and she loses Ollie to the dark side, that sucks for her. And through all of that grief, she has to come to terms with the fact that Zato, Ollie, and Javi are no longer in a state to be helpful, and she has to step up and be the leader that they need. And honestly, I know that you guys might say that Andros had the highest stakes of all of the Reds, but I kind of think Amelia had higher stakes than Andros, to be honest with y'all.
They're on comparable levels for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I think Amelia had some insane hurdles to overcome as a Red. Mm-hmm. And those are things that I can never discount from her. Like, I don't want to say she's top 5 best Red, but she's pretty damn close to it, man.
I can say this much. I've always been trying to figure out who I would consider the second and third best female Rangers behind Jen. Well, we've got them here.
Yeah. No. Amelia and Izzy are the best after Jen.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just struggling now to tell you, is Amelia top 5 worthy or not? I just don't have the answer to that yet.
She makes a good case.
She makes a really good case, but
yeah,
I have to go rewatch some of my other contenders and see what I think of them now in context.
Who would you put after Izzy, Riz?
So Amelia, Izzy, Ollie, then Ollie for obvious reasons that we've already been through multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, Zeta would be next on my list, which is a little bit different from you, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Zato has lost more than most people can ever dream of, while gaining more than anyone can dream of.
Yeah.
Like, he's had the most dynamic scenes in character of anyone else. Like, he's a person from 60 million years ago, and he lost his entire family and friends. He comes back, he's alone, finds Ion, finds his homeworld. His homeworld gets blown up, and then he finds more people from his planet, and then he dies, and he comes back to life as a ranger, and he's the morphing master, and Homeboy just been through a lot. And a lot, I don't know, he was a really good red. Like I said earlier, he's a solid red, but he's not top 5 to me. I can't make the case for him being top 5 as red.
Yeah.
So after him is Javi, then Fern, then Ion. And that's not to say that Ion is bad, because Ion's amazing right now in Cosmic Fury. But Fern has just been consistently good from Dino Fury until now, despite not having a lot of screen time.
You want to go in next, Anthony? Were you done, Riz?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Anthony? Okay. My ranking's not going to be as similar to y'all's, because I've been kind of viewing how the characters interact with each other, and I know this is probably going to shock y'all, but like, actually, Izzy's not my third. Yeah,
Izzy's your third?
Honestly, okay. is most, and you probably disagree with this, and that's fine. I just feel I had to say this. She's gonna get my nerves a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, she's gonna get my nerves just a tiny bit.
No,
yeah,
I get it, and my reason for putting her at number 2 is because of Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury as
yeah, because.
But in the terms of Cosmic Fury, dear
yes, God, I thought I was the only one, because I was worried like y'all would be like,
no,
oh,
I was,
why you say that?
I was a little,
you know, that type of thing.
No, I didn't care for her. I understand why she's overprotective of Fern. I get it.
Yeah.
But man,
it bugged me too. Because it's like she just assumes that, like, yeah, I understand that she wants to protect Fern, and I get that. If we had a loved one that was stuck with us in space and we couldn't get back home, we'd drive it the same way. But the same.
You know what made me like get aggravated the most, Anthony? It's the moment when they're on that planet and they're stranded, and they want to go out and forage for food and get the lay of the land, and Fern wants to go with the step foot on a new planet.
That's it right there.
And Izzy kind of gets.
Go ahead, say it.
She gets a little arrogant about the fact that she's a ranger and she can protect Fern when she has powers, but without powers, she can't protect Fern. Like, I don't mind her saying that, but the attitude that came with it, I was like, okay, Izzy, you gotta get that chip off your block.
I mean, really.
But still, like, the sum cumulative measure of Izzy is still fantastic to me overall.
But what's the rest of your rankings, Anthony?
Yeah, what's your number 1?
Okay.
I know you're number 3, but I don't know your number 1. What the heck, man?
It's still Amelia, surprisingly, because she's been consistent. I'll give her that. This is gonna sound crazy, but I'm putting Ollie as my second, and that's only because of it's sort of crazy because he had this sort of like father-son thing with Zed the whole time. I'm just like, like I'm like, hold up, like is Zed trying to be like, Ollie's like surrogate father here? Like what?
Yes.
Like what's going on here? Like I was enjoying that because like
You know what that reminded me of? Have you ever seen the movie Hook?
I did see Hook.
Yep. I love Hook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know Robin Williams' son?
Jack,
Jack and Hook's relationship is very Zed and Ollie like to me.
Yeah. I would say I would disagree with that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
So who's after Izzy?
Let's
Anthony?
see. Javi.
Okay.
I kind of want to do like how you did, Riz, because like I did like Fern, and I'm only putting Ion last only because actually no, I'm skipping one. I'll put Zato then Fern, and then Ion. Because like I guess like you said, Ion's not dead last because he's a bad character. It's just that's just how I want to rank him because honestly he's still improved. He's actually improved a lot from the first 2 seasons, to be honest with you. I still have an issue. It's not really an issue with the performance. It's more or less the ADR, but it's because it sounds like, I don't know what it is about the way he sounds as far as like ADR sounds, but he sounds like he's like phoning his lines in. And I'm not sure that I don't think it's his fault. It's the actor's fault at all. I don't think so.
Who did you think was phoning the lines
I'm trying to think. It's like... Oh, Ion. I'm sorry. Ion. I just feel like maybe they just want him to sound, I guess, I don't know. It just don't sound natural when he talks sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. Like
I mean, that's a given.
Blame the ADR guys. Like that's all I gotta say.
For me, so I'm gonna.
I'm done.
You done, Anthony? Okay. I'm gonna put Izzy as number 1. I mean, okay. First of all, I'm just gonna say this: Izzy is my number 2 favorite. Is, in my opinion, the number 2 best Green Ranger of all time. The non-6th, by the way. So I'm actually not putting Tommy as number 1. I actually
Xander?
have. No, I and maybe it's because I have a bit of bias toward him, but I actually have Joel from Rescue as number 1.
I was gonna get on your case, Nate. I was gonna get on your case almost. I was like, wait, you better come up with somebody better.
Well, who did you think?
Say what?
Who did you think?
No, because like he had said that he was biased for Xander, and I was like, wait a minute, now you better have somebody better to help with that because I was gonna get on you.
Now I just the reason why I'm biased toward Joel is just because I think he's a really well developed character who undergoes change. So I mean, Joel, in my opinion, is just great. But I still put Izzy as number 2. And honestly, like I get what you guys are saying, that you guys are kind of annoyed at how she was in this, but I honestly didn't mind. I mean, I get where she's coming from, so. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I'm sympathetic to it. But
you're not. Like I said, we're entitled to our own opinions. We're not saying that you're wrong for we're wrong for how we feel. You're not wrong for how you feel. You're not right. It's just how we feel.
Yeah. But yeah, she's my number 2 Green Ranger, and I mean, part of me really wants to put her ahead of Joel, but that's a debate I'm going to have in my head. But
no, she's better than Joel.
How dare you? Let me stop. I'm joking.
Okay. I'll put Ollie after that just because I really thought that his arc was really great throughout this. I'm definitely going to put Amelia there. I would honestly put Amelia, if I'm looking at her from like a Pink perspective, like she's a top 5 Pink for sure.
Yeah.
Now, is she? She might
She's
honestly.
Number 2.
Well, okay, maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd put like. I mean, number 2 would probably be Corone in my opinion, but okay, number 1 we can all agree is Jen. So,
because that's the only correct answer to that question.
Yeah. After that, I'll put. I'm gonna put Zato just because he. I really liked his evolution and all that, and what he's going through, and just how brave and selfless he was. I really liked Hobby here. Really great character. I'm putting him behind Zato, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think we mentioned this. Like, not only him losing his arm is bad for him, but like they kind of, I love how they integrate his hobby with like wanting to play guitar in the back because it's more personal for him there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Ion after that just because I think he was a much better character, and I honestly liked. I didn't mention this before, but like I liked how he kept mourning that his cafe had to shut down, because I always like it in both in Power Rangers and in Super Sentai where like they try to make it a bit personal. Like, okay, I know that this is a bad example, but like when in the Jew Ranger finale, they're saying, okay, we're going to save the world so that like this child can see this or something. Okay, maybe that's not the best example, but like they do that in like Abba Ranger with Abba Red and his and this little girl that he's taking care of, who he's related to. Like, it's not just saving the world because it's to save the world; it's to make it a more personal thing. And I love how Ion's Cafe is like that personal thing to him. Really liked him, and I don't want to put Fern last because that makes it seem like I hate Fern as a character. I don't. She's a great character, but I wish that she had more time to shine as a Ranger outside of her debut episode. And still a great character. And honestly, if they do decide that they don't want to do the reboot and just bring this cast back, which I mean, yes, you should absolutely bring this cast back for one more season if you want to do that. But like, I want to see more of Fern. And I know that none of you guys wanted to rank Billy, and I respect that. I'm not going to rank Billy here, but I'm going to say this: this season cemented Billy as being the best Blue Ranger of all time. In my opinion.
That was never a question.
So, I mean, in the past, I put Sky ahead of him, but yeah, he's still love Sky. Sky is a great Blue Ranger, but Billy is in a league of his own.
I'll never disagree with you on that.
Billy is super S tier. Sky is S tier. Or if you want to get real technical about it, Billy is super mega ultra S tier.
Not super mega ultra awesome.
No. We never had a Ranger team with the.
Oh, you didn't get the reference. Yeah. It was a reference from something. It was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge.
Or you know what? He's the tier above S tier now. It's Coolio.
So let's give our closing thoughts each and our final grade for the season now, guys.
If this really is where the current era of Power Rangers ends, I think they ended it on a pretty high note. I mean, I've already said my piece on it. It brought me back to watching in space when I was a kid again, and I just love this season. Like Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury together is like a top 5 season to me in the whole series. So I'd give Cosmic Fury a 9.5. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with a 9.5 for the season as well. This season, I don't know, man. Between the soundtrack, the visual effects, the character development, and one thing I just have to say it, okay? Like, I'm so angry that we have this Screen Actors strike going on right now. And not because I don't support the strike, but because we can't celebrate with the actors how amazing they did online. Like, I don't know if y'all, I know, Nate, that you're not on Twitter, but Hunter Dano, for the 30 days leading up to Cosmic Fury's release, would every day tweet the single number of how many days left. No other mention of Cosmic Fury, but just something.
Her enthusiasm was infectious.
Definitely. Dude. And like, you know that little emoji of like the eyes that are kind of tearing up?
Mm-hmm.
That people use a lot?
Mm-hmm.
When Amelia was given all the praise, like, girl, you deserve to be read. Look at all the stuff you've done for us. It's a good fit. I could see Hunter's. So before the strike, Hunter had thrown out that emoji quite a bit with her becoming the Red Ranger. Like, she had that emoji a lot. And seeing that emoji on her real life face in that scene, that hit me in a different way. And it makes me so angry that I can't celebrate and see her tweets of how happy she is with what she's done. Because her performance is something to really celebrate, in my opinion. Like, she really sold me on it. I had my doubts in the beginning a little bit, only because it's weird to have the red chains like that midway. But honestly, it was just really organic, and I just really want to celebrate with Hunter. Like, I'm hoping she comes to Atlanta next year, because I got to give her the biggest hug in the world for this. But that's my closing thoughts, guys.
And what are you giving it out of 10?
9.5, I already said that.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Anthony?
I'll give it overall 8. Like I said, it's not my best. It's not like, and I'm being very generous when I'm giving it an 8. I could have gave it like a 7.5, but I was like, nah, it deserves an 8. So,
anything else you want to say?
I said my piece already about everything that I had issues with, and my ranting, which I really appreciate y'all for appreciating that rant of mine, because I know for some apparent reason the audio of me sounding louder is hurting y'all's ears, and I really apologize for that. I don't know what's going on with my mic system, so
cool. No big deal, man. And for me, I'm giving it a 9. I have issues with it, but I mean, there's a reason why I originally went into this only wanting to watch 5 episodes to having to watch all 10 in one sitting. This kept me wanting to come back and watch it, which is something that a Toku show has not done for me for a while. I can't really remember the last Sentai, but I definitely felt that way when I watched, Time Ranger and Aba Ranger, but that was several years ago before I started watching the older Sentais where, Flashman gave me that feeling, but not as much as this one. And that's why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's got issues, but the good stuff is just too damn good. And that's why I love it. And it gave, I would probably, I don't know if I'd put this in my top 5, but it'll definitely be in my top 10. It's got issues that'll bog it down, but it still did a lot of great things. And if this really is the end of the original continuity, I'm fine with it. In the same way that I really hate to plug in Risen Mind's other podcast, but in terms of Star Wars with the original trilogy, I have issues with Return of a Jedi, but it's still a really great ending, and it's a great way to wrap everything up. This is Return of a Jedi to me. Is it perfect? No. Does it have issues? Yes, but it's still a very solid ending, and I still love it.
You take that back. Return of Jedi is perfect.
Okay. Let's save that for when we do Return of a Jedi and the Jedi Squadron. But yeah, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. And I want to thank Simon Bennett for giving this to us, and Hasbro. I don't know what the future holds for Power Rangers, but like I said on my blog, for now, I just want to enjoy the fact that we just got a damn good season.
Yeah. One last thing, and I'll do the preview to close this out. But I'd have to put this in a podcast and say it. If we somehow get a season 31 in the same continuity, I wouldn't mind this team returning one more time. Mainly to see some of these plot points that we're talking about and how to get resolved.
Yeah.
But with that said, this has been a long overdue Cosmic Fury review. Apologies for that taking a bit longer, but coming up from us next, we're going to be doing the first 2 seasons of the audio drama. They'll be coming out.
Yep.
We have The King Owed their next installment of that review series as well. Probably going to drop that before the audio drama season 1 and 2 reviews, and then after that, we're going to get to Nate's personal favorite Sentai, Time Ranger. So we got a lot of good stuff to close out the year, and I'm really excited for where we're going next.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm going to steal Nathan's final line because why the heck not?
Go ahead. Go for it.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all next time, and may the power protect y'all.